No rain, nor sleet, or snow, or throat. In a great place right now. Will ever stop the legendary super sales. That's what we're going to start doing now. We are going to start doing this, and we are going to start saying super sales. That's what we are. Super sales. Hopefully, everybody has a great Father's Day weekend. Really cool. Family, burgers. You guys get to hang out. You're fortunate enough to go to the beach. All good. Great time of the year, man. Oh, by the way, before we get into this, hey, super chats go to the top. We have some of the best topics we've ever had today. These next 5 weeks, you're in my wheelhouse. Okay? Supers go to the top. Please hit the like button. I do want to start it out by saying my boy Zander was a goaltender. And he played arguably the greatest sport on the planet, which is hockey. That thing last night I watched was insane great. The Edmonton Oilers were down 3-0. Okay? 3-0. And they came back and won that bitch in overtime 5-4. Can we have a moment of silence for Ron's nukes? No, but thank you. Happy Father's Day, fat ass. Hey, if we could do a ton of those, I'd love those. Happy Father's Day, fat ass. I think that's appropriate. That should be on a Father's Day card. I like it. Yesterday, we had a lot of fun. I mean, StreamYard was down. We're back up and running. We appreciate you guys. That stuff last night. The NBA, I have no interest in SGA. I have no interest in OKC in Indiana. I really don't. I'll tune that thing in. But I have no interest in the NBA. I just don't. U.S. Open, I'll watch. The U.S. Open golf. By the way, we also have today Jason Cole at 4:30 and Merrill Reese. We will have him at 5:30. Okay? So how true is it about the Eagles' interest in Jair Alexander? Listen, Jair Alexander is totally going to be on the Eagle radar. It's going to come down to this. What's that guy willing to take as a discount? Look, if I'm Howie Roseman and I talk to Alexander, I would say this to him. I just told Dallas Goedert to take a pay cut. What are you willing to do for a ring? That's how I would present it. We don't need you. We want you. There's a difference. Other teams around the NFL need Alexander. The Eagles don't need him. They probably want him, but there's a cost to that. You know, imagine being in a position where you could turn around and look at players that are free agents and say this, hey, man, look, we really want you here. We'd like to have you here, but we don't need you. So here's what we're willing to do. That's pretty dope. That's a good position to be in. That's a champion's position to be in. So that does not shock me, Kyle. We'll talk more about it. Now that series is tied 2-2. Not to hang too much on the NHL playoffs here, but that thing was great. All right. You know, man, I don't really like going here. I'm going to say something here that's probably not going to be very fashionable. And this is something I didn't want to be right on. Kyle, you'll pretty much keep an eye on what I say for the last couple of years. I said this about Antonio Brown. This ain't going to end well. Now he's being accused of attempted murder for that fiasco down in South Florida. This has only two ways of ending: in the morgue or in jail. It was only going to end one way or two ways. That's it. The morgue or jail. I mean, truly one of the greatest players in the history of our sport. Many of you know that I'm doing a show in Tampa, and Mike Evans was the last person to try to save his career. Remember when he took his jersey off in the Meadowlands when they were playing the Jets? It was Mike Evans that was saying, please don't do this. Don't do it. Because Mike knew right there. You do what you're going to do. You'll never play again. And the dude did it, and he never played again. He's out of money. He's out of friends. And he's out of time. Mike Evans tried saving him. So did Tom Brady. One of the greatest players of all time. Let me ask you something here. Here's a guy that might get a gold jacket in prison. The Bucks in 2020 don't win the Super Bowl without AB. That offensive firepower they had and that attack, you had Gronkowski. I caught 2 Super Bowl touchdown passes in the game. You had Mike Evans. You had Chris Godwin. And you had Antonio Brown. So he hasn't been the same since Vontaze Burfict hit. So people do say CTE. You're not under the impression. So let me get into a topic here. How many people believe that A.J. Brown is a Hall of Fame receiver? Pull this up here. Want to make sure we're speaking correctly here. A.J. Brown. How many people believe A.J. Brown's a Hall of Famer? Or projecting that way? How many people believe that? That he's the Hall of Fame player? He's on pace. Lamar says he's not a Hall of Famer. He's definitely a Hall of Famer. You're not under the impression A.J. Brown's had a better career than Antonio Brown, are you? You're not under the impression of that, are you? A.J. Brown was not a better player than Antonio Brown. Where and what metric? Give me one metric he was better in. Let's take a look at it. How many years AJ's played? And by the way, many of these years are just torched in fire. So A.J. Brown's got 6 years. And if you look at Antonio Brown's career, let's go here. Antonio Brown. Theoretically, the last 3 years were ridiculous outside of 20. From 19 to 21. I mean, 8 games, 1 game, 7 games. He played 16 games in the last 3 years of his career. So theoretically, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 productive years. The last 3 years have been whatever. Antonio Brown is and get this, here's Antonio Brown. First team All-Pro. First team All-Pro. First team All-Pro. First team All-Pro. Pro Bowl. 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 8 consecutive years. He made the Pro Bowl. I mean, and here's the numbers. 110 catches. 1,500 yards. 129 catches. 1,700 yards. 136 catches. 1,800 yards. 106. 1,300 yards. 101. 1,500 yards. 104. 1,300 yards. Nobody's been more productive than that guy. Brown's not in his room. And he has a Super Bowl. And let's take a look at AJ. How many Pro Bowls? 1, 2, 3. Now, he's got more time. Okay? Actually, excuse me. Yeah, 3 Pro Bowls he's got. And has he ever made first team All-Pro? Let's see. He's never made first team All-Pro. Antonio Brown's made it 7 times. And he's got a Super Bowl ring. How is A.J. Brown a Hall of Famer and he's not? You know, Brown may get his jacket in jail. AB will never be a Hall of Famer, then neither will AJ. He's not a better player. This isn't the Hall of Good Guy. Okay? That has nothing to do with on-the-field accomplishments. Nothing. O.J. Simpson belongs in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. I don't care how you slice it up. No pun intended. Okay? There's not a morals clause in who you vote for. There's not. That's not your job. You're not a morality cop. By the way, I'll ask a Hall of Fame voter that today. We have one on. And that's what we do when we get Jason Cole on. Jason's one of the guys that clicks off whether or not you're a Hall of Fame player or not. A.J. Brown has not had the career. Now, A.J.'s got more time. He does. Well, let me ask you another one here. How many people believe that A.J. Brown has had a better career than Mike Evans? Mike Evans is a first ballot. How many people believe that AJ's had a better career than Mike Evans? Okay? Mike Evans may be one of the most underrated players in the National Football League. You tell me. Okay? By the way, I think AJ's a fabulous football player. I think he's the best receiver in football. Just so we're just so we're clear. Right now, AJ Brown is the best receiver in football. And you know what? I love Justin Jefferson. Okay? I do. But I just named you 2 guys that were better than him. No, Plaxico was a good player. AJ's better. Plaxico Burress was a really great football player. Okay? You know, when you guys start talking Hall of Fame to me like Barkley and all, you got to put it in context with the players during that respected era. He wasn't better than Antonio Brown or Mike Evans at any moment. Well, that's not true. That year that AJ had, that 106 year, where he was second team All-Pro with 1456. That was a pretty good year where he had 106 catches. But again, when I look at these numbers, one year he had 106. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of his 6 years, he's had 1,000 yards. That's very impressive, especially on that shitty Tennessee team. Let's not forget something about AJ, too. AJ played with Ryan Tannehill, for God's sakes. Hey, and by the way, I'm trying to make a case for AJ. I'm not, this is not a rip at him. I want to make a case for him. Okay? Larry Fitzgerald's not in his time. Has A.J. Brown been a better receiver than Justin Jefferson? Absolutely not. Has he been a better receiver than Jamar Chase? I think he is. I think the only wide receiver in pro football that Devontae Adams has been better. Okay? Devontae's been better. AB had Roethlisberger. Roethlisberger's a first ballot Hall of Famer. No question about it. He's a first ballot. A.J. Brown is not better than Justin Jefferson. It's not close. Well, no. He's not better, but I like him better because he blocks. Jefferson doesn't block. He doesn't ask, or he's not being asked to block. In my offense, AJ fits better than Jefferson. Jefferson, I don't even know Sam Darnold and Kirk Cousins were his quarterback. I don't know. Okay. Well, I'll tell you what. Accomplishment-wise, that's not true. Here, Justin Jefferson, his accomplishments. See what he's done. Since he's been in the league. Here's Jefferson. Wow. First year, 88 catches, 1,400 yards. First team AP. Offensive Player of the Year runner-up. Second year, 108, 1,600 yards. Pro Bowl. Associated Press, first team. 128 catches, 1,800 yards. Pro Bowl, AP first team. Fifth in MVP voting. Offensive Player of the Year. In 9 games, he had 1,000 yards. Insane. And last year, with Sam Darnold, he had 1,533. First team All-Pro. And he was runner-up to Saquon Barkley as Player of the Year. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, whatever. Jamar Chase is the best receiver in the league. Maybe. Again, my preference is AJ, though. Okay? This is a lie. There's nothing Odell Beckham did but a catch on a Monday Night Football game that he had a better moment. Antonio Brown blows his doors off. By the way, Antonio Brown, let's take a look at this here. Even with all the gaps because of his behavior, this guy had 920 catches, 83 touchdowns, 13,000 receiving yards. I mean, we'll see if AJ gets there. Those are insane numbers for a guy that blew up 1, 2, 3 years of his career. As M. Reyes said, there's probably 7 or 8 productive years. Those years where he did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years in a row where he won or he went over 100 catches. He's got a Super Bowl to his name too. So those numbers get validated even more so. How about this too? Look at this shit. He averaged 97 yards a game, 106 yards a game, 115 yards a game, 95 yards a game, 110 yards a game, 95 yards a game. Guy was a weapon. He was just clearly an offensive weapon. How can you put AJ in over him? You can't. Everything is relative. And he's got a Super Bowl. Does AJ need to do more? Like I said, we'll talk to Jason Cole about this. I don't know, Sills. That crash out and fallout isn't. No, you're right on. That is not going to help him. What's that? Isn't exactly good terms with your old employer. You're talking about him with the Bucks? Man, they did everything to try to save him. Supposedly, what I'm being told by the Bucks, Tom Brady called him even after that. And he was just all full of himself after the Jets. He flew home by himself. He got a plane ticket. He didn't even get on the plane with the team, and he flew back to Tampa. The team called him. Get this. The Buccaneers wanted to get him mental help. He wanted nothing to do with it. So they cut him. He wanted nothing to do with it. He had to fly back on his own nickel. Brady went over to his house, what I'm told. Hey, man, what is this? Mike Evans went. A bunch of people, Bruce Arians told me, they all tried to go there. And they tried to save this kid. It was more like, F you this, F you that. You guys turned your back on me. It was all over money. Antonio Brown is everything that's wrong with the position. A.J. Brown is everything that's right. Tell you what, A.J.'s in between Owens and him. You know what the difference is? That guy's a good teammate. A.J. Brown. That guy gets it. Cooper Kupp, Hall of Fame trajectory. Outside of that 1 year, really? Has a ring. I think he won a Super Bowl MVP. That helps a lot. That may be. Thank you for the supers. Still, Mike Evans, a Hall of Famer due to consistency, Super Bowl win. Well, man, I mean, you tell me, Mike Evans, and you know, only him and Jerry Rice have had 11 straight years of 1,000 yards. Him and Rice. I mean, look at this, man. Every year he was in the league, I think he went to Texas A&M. 1050, 15 yards a game, 1,200, 1,300, 1,060, or 1,001, 1,500, 11,000, 1,100, 1,200, 1,300, 1,000. His touchdowns are insane, too. He's got 105 TDs. 12, 12, 8, 8, 13, 14, 8, 8, 13, 11. Old guy a year ago had 11 touchdown catches on the Bucs with Baker Mayfield. You know, when you look at Mike Evans' numbers, you're stunned how good he's been and how quiet he's been. And it made me think about AJ. Who's a more talented player? AJ or Mike Evans? Man, they're so different. AJ was in that shitty Tennessee offense, though. I mean, Mike Evans had, what was it? Jameis Winston. He had, Jameis Winston threw for a shitload of yards. He had Jameis Winston, Brady. And now he has Baker Mayfield. That's not horrible. I mean, as a talent, like who's better at the wideout NFL history? Megatron or Moss? Man, Megatron or Moss? God, I'm going to say Randy, but by a sliver. Who's better, Owens or Irvin? I'm prejudiced, but man, T.O. was great. T.O. was a great player. Let's take a look at the wide receivers during AJ's time now. How many Triple Crown winners are there in the Hall of Fame? Good call. I'll look that up, Lamar. Let me see during AJ's time. How many players? Is AJ Brown better than Cooper Kupp? I think he's more dominant. I think AJ is more dominant than Cooper Kupp. Let me look at 2020s. You know, again, because Jerry Rice and Mike Evans were talking at camp yesterday. 2020s. Top wide receivers. AJ's way better than Godwin, and I think Godwin's good. Is AJ better than DK Metcalf? Oh, here's a great one. Is that guy better than DeAndre Hopkins? God dang, that guy was great. Evans reminds me of a wideout from Andre Johnson, man, one of the greatest athletes we ever had at the University of Miami. I think Jefferson's better than him. I think Evans is better. I think AJ's better than Chris Godwin. I think AJ's better than DK Metcalf. DeAndre Hopkins, man, that guy was the best third down wide receiver in pro football for 10 years. Shit, that guy can play. The thing that I would probably go with AJ is that he blocks so great in the run game. I would have to take him. Man, I can't believe I'm saying that. AJ Brown over DeAndre Hopkins? Yes. Not a big gap. He's better than DJ Moore, AJ. He's better than Tyler Lockett. He's better than Brandon Ayuk. Is AJ better than Tyreek Hill? He's different. He's different. I would clearly take AJ Brown over. I don't like Tyreek Hill in his style of play. I don't like that grand slam stuff and not running good routes when the play doesn't come to you. I think he's a shitty teammate. I'm taking AJ Brown over Tyreek Hill. You cannot dismiss, okay? You cannot dismiss his blocking in the run game. There is no coincidence that guy's blocked for the two best backs in football in the last 15 years. Do you not agree? Do you think that's a coincidence that Derrick Henry and Saquon Barkley played on the same unit with A.J. Brown? I mean, he's not afraid to put his face in there. I dig that about him. Is he better than Keenan Allen? Keenan's a good player, but yes. T. Higgins, yes. Michael Pittman, yes. Julio Jones. Man. Atlanta Julio was a great football player. So right now I got Mike Evans. I got Justin Jefferson. Julio Brown, or Julio Jones, I mean. God, he's got great numbers. Wonderful accomplishments. Let me take a look at this. 7-time Pro Bowler. Led the NFL in receptions. Had a great career at Alabama. His football numbers with the Atlanta Falcons and his accomplishments as a Falcon are so good. He's one of the greatest Alabama players in the Saban era. I mean, look at this. 1,200 yards, 79 catches, 1,593, 104, 136 catches, 1,871, 1,409, 1,444, 1,677. You want to hear something crazy? With all those numbers, Antonio Brown still has better numbers than him. Antonio Brown has better numbers than Julio Jones. I mean, how many touchdowns? He's got 66 touchdowns. Brown's got 85. 7 years. I mean, I'm telling you guys. Devontae Adams. By the way, I'm going to take AJ. I think. over Julio Jones. Man, I don't know. You could, I don't know. The kid was great at Fresno. He had 1,700 yards. I think he led the nation in receiving. Devontae Adams when he was at, I forget who. I think Derek Carr was his guy. 1386, 1553. Get this. In all these games that he played in Devontae, he's nowhere near Antonio Brown. How can these guys be Hall of Fame players if you're not better than a guy who's sitting in prison? Julio is AJ's idol. And Julio Jones is a great football player. I think Julio Jones borderlines Hall of Fame, if not in. You could clearly make the conversation for him. Okay? Now, again, folks, remember something here. AJ still got work to do. Is he better than CeeDee Lamb? CeeDee's going to have better numbers, but if I had to put a wide receiver on the field, I'm taking him. I'm taking AJ. CeeDee's going to have a lot of numbers, and you know what may get him in before AJ? In fact, he plays for the Cowboys. That may end up getting him in because that dude plays for the Cowboys. Okay? So that may end up getting his ass in. Yeah, he was such a good player. Anquan Bolden was an outstanding football player. Totally was. Let's see here. I'm trying to figure out again, because people asked me the other day about, Mike Evans. And then what happened with Antonio Brown being arrested for murder charges. Andre Reed's a Hall of Famer. He's already in. I wouldn't be comparing anybody to a Hall of Fame guy who's already in. Okay. Let me go back here. Marty Cooper, he's better. Is A.J. Brown better than Terry McLaurin? Yes. Michael Thomas had some great years, but he's better. Jamar Chase has got Burrow. Calvin Ridley is a good player. So in his time, here's AJ. AJ's in here. These are his These are AJ Brown's contemporaries. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, DK Metcalf, DeAndre Hopkins, DK Moore, Brandon Ayuk, Cooper Kupp. How would I rank these guys? I would go Mike Evans 1. I would go Jefferson 2. No. I think it's going to be harder to get into the Pro Football Hall of Fame at this position, more so than even quarterbacks. It's going to be very tough to get in to the Hall of Fame. Antonio Brown, major pain. Tomlin got rid of him. Okay? I'm talking about him being a Hall of Fame player. As true as that is, Kimberly, even with the meltdown years, he still dwarfs every other guy right now during this A.J. Brown era. This guy's got almost 1,000 catches. He's got 13,000 receiving yards. Hines Ward wasn't really in the A.J. Brown era. I think when you're talking wide out, you've got Mike Evans is his contemporary. Okay? Evans is his dude. Evans is 31. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, you can correct me, guys. I think A.J. Brown is 27 or 8. Am I right when I say that? And June, I thought he was going to get a birthday in June and we'll make him 28 heading into this year. Is that right? So he'll be 28 going into the start of this season. Do I think I'm going to ask a Hall of Famer, a Hall of Fame voter, I should say, at 4:30. I mean, Antonio Brown's a Hall of Fame guy. He may get his jacket in a jail cell. I mean, would you vote for him? Attempted murder? If you're going to put on your moralistic code and morals jacket, or are you there to gauge what the guy did in between the hash marks? Antonio Brown's a Hall of Fame player. By the way, there's so much more work to do for AJ. Personally, I think AJ, let's be candid here. And I want to ask you guys this. How do you think AJ's time in Tennessee was? Ocho Cinco's not a Hall of Fame player. Really good player. How do you think AJ looked at his time in Tennessee? Let me take a look at this. They weren't horrible. They were not horrible. I mean, his first year, 1,000 yards, 52 catches, very, very pedestrian. 70 was better. He got hurt in 24, missed 4 games, I think it was. Made the Pro Bowl, was AP, was third in the Rookie of the Year or third in the Offensive Player of the Year voting. Okay. Well, GQ, why do you think it was a waste of talent in Tennessee? And I'm going to make the comparisons to now. Remember something. He's got the ring now. Now it's about Canton for him. He's looking at Canton the same way Myles Garrett is looking at Canton. Remember what Myles Garrett said this offseason? He goes, making it to Canton, Ohio doesn't necessarily mean it has to go through Cincinnati. Okay. Well, wait a minute here. So they ran the ball with Derrick Henry in Tennessee. How much of today's offense in Philadelphia reminds A.J. Brown of what he did in Tennessee, especially last year, if they're going to continue that way of winning? A.J. Brown right now is not a Hall of Fame player. He's not a Hall of Fame player. Now, again, he's got to ship more load time. Okay? In 6 years, he's going to be 28. What are we talking? 28, 29, 30, 31. 4 great years left, potentially. Right? So does it go to think that he may not like the way that this thing's trending for his career? How many people think they're going to use the same offense? I hear people saying they're going to improve the passing game. I say this to you. What for? Because we have to evolve. Are you under the impression that passing game has evolved since 22? It hasn't. It's different. The approach has been different every time. How can you evolve something when you're not doing it every year the same? The only thing that has evolved has been that you guys change the offense every year. And last year, you had what did Barkley say this offseason? Remember what he said? He said, we know the recipe. So let me ask you this. Do you think that the passing game in Philadelphia is plan B or plan A? And a guy who wants to get to Canton, like A.J. Brown, how do you think that is with a guy who not even the best player in his generation? Don't you think he wants numbers now? Sitting around, hey, 2 Super Bowls, 3 Super Bowls, that's not going to get you to Canton. Ask Julian Edelman. Julian Edelman's got 4 rings. You think he's going to Canton? And a Super Bowl MVP. You think that guy's going to Canton? Super Bowls matter, Shells, not numbers. Well, how come that doesn't apply to Edelman then? You know, Julian Edelman has more receiving yards than Jerry Rice in the postseason. Do you know that, right? Nobody has more receiving yards. How come he's not going to Canton? Right? Let me double check that, Julian Edelman. By the way, congratulations. I got an email today that Julian Edelman's going into the Patriots Ring of Honor this year. So let's take a look at Julian Edelman and what he's done. Super Bowl MVP. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, he's got 4 rings. Played 11 years. 3 years, 1,000 yards. Pretty damn good. Not one Pro Bowl, not one AP, not one anything. And if you go to his postseason numbers and you go to who he is and what he's accomplished, Julian Edelman, it's crazy. That guy's never been to a Pro Bowl in his entire career. He's got 4 Super Bowl rings and he's an MVP. So when you guys are telling me that Super Bowls matter, well, how come it doesn't matter for him? He's a 3-time Super Bowl champion, Super Bowl MVP. His career numbers, 6,800 yards. You look at his postseason numbers, he's got the most ever of any player in the history of the league, including Jerry Rice. Rings don't matter. Individual accomplishments matter. Okay? And I also think touchdowns. Yards are the biggest stat. But I think touchdowns. Let's see here. Oh, maybe what I'm talking about, Samuel, is Super Bowls. Because he's played in 4, I think. My bad. I definitely think Mike Evans is better than CeeDee Lamb. What in the world has CeeDee Lamb done more than Mike Evans? How in the world would I put CeeDee Lamb over Mike Evans? Today, is he better? Yeah. Because he's younger. Yes. But Mike Evans' career, he's a first ballot. Let's see here. Jason knows Pro Bowls and all pros help. Of course they do, because you're going to, do you know how you gauge a guy if a guy's a Hall of Fame player or not, like AJ? You match him up, not by just your numbers, but you look at who was in your era. Were you better than him on a consistent basis? AJ has not been a better player than Mike Evans, and he's not been a better player than Justin Jefferson. Now, there's more work to do. Still, today, A.J. Brown's not a Hall of Famer. And especially in that offense. Look, if that dude puts up another 1,000-yard season and they win a Super Bowl, okay, at the end of the day, the number one part of that offense, you would never say that A.J. Brown was the driving force to that Super Bowl win, unless you covered the team like I did and you knew how important he was on that team. And especially in the run game. Look, I'm trying to make a case for him. Oh, I had a conversation about one thing about Antonio Brown. Don't ever blame T.O. and that whole situation on TO, on what melted down, that was Donovan McNabb's fault. The quarterback's responsibility is to handle the environment of your team. That's why you make $50 million. McNabb was a piss poor leader and was piss poor at handling his teammates. You can make the argument that Donovan McNabb was one of the worst teammates of all time. And I say that with people who have played with him. I've never heard anybody talk shit on Brady and what kind of teammate he was. Dude, Brady tried helping Antonio Brown. He lived in his house. You think there's any coincidence that Tom Brady, as a locker mate in New England, had Aaron Hernandez sitting next to him and would text him every hour to see what he's doing, to make sure he wasn't going off the reservation? You think there's any coincidence that Brady never kept the most talented and troubled closer to him in the time when he played? Donovan McNabb kept Owens at arm's length. Do you know that era should have had? How many people believed if McNabb had handled that better, the Eagles probably win 2 Super Bowls during the T.O. McNabb era? You could make the argument during that time, if those 2 lunatics could have worked that out, it could have been the best pass catching era in Eagle history. Guys should have 2 rings with those 2 lunatics. Instead, one guy was off the reservation and the other guy didn't give a shit that he was. That's where Hurts is better than McNabb. But Hurts is not the quarterback McNabb is. But you know what he is? He runs his team better by far. In 2004, McNabb, he loses that Super Bowl. Hurts probably wins that bitch. McNabb on this team, he'd be too pissed off at AJ. Holy cow. Let me ask you guys this. How do you think McNabb would have dealt with AJ Brown on the sidelines? Reading the book and shit and all that. Or some of the things that he said. How do you think he would have handled AJ Brown? You guys know him more. You see him. You bought his gear. You watched him. How do you think McNabb would have handled AJ? You think AJ still be on the team? Or you think they would have dealt him? Right? Hurts is not more accurate than McNabb, even though McNabb threw grounders. So it's a quarterback's responsibility to handle the environment. I think Hurts handles A.J. Brown great. You know what he does? He lets him mouth off. What would have been the problem with McNabb letting him mouth off? Quarterback's got to get me the ball more. We got to do this. We got to. So what? Who cares? Why did he care so much on how others thought of him? Who cares? I don't give a shit what a guy thinks from the Philadelphia Inquirer about me. Why would I care when I'm the starting quarterback in the NFL on the Eagles? Why would I care about that? Hurts doesn't. I give that dude a lot of credit for how he handles his teammates. I'll tell you something else. You know what else? What do you guys think that also helps? The handling of A.J. Brown. Devontae Smith. I never hear Devontae Smith. If he gets a goose egg in a game, there ain't no bitching. Goes about his work, shows up for the next week, plays his ass off. Never bitches. A receiver that never bitches, that's like a top 12 receiver in the league and never bitches. That's a rarity in itself. Right? So again, I wonder how AJ looks at his time right now, where he is in his career. Here, last year, had 67 catches, 13 games. Now, he was banged up. Second team All-Pro off those numbers, which are not very good, but yet people knew who he was, is pretty impressive. You see that second team All-Pro, that AP All-Pro, with 67 catches? You know what that tells you? That everybody around the league respects his ass. 67 catches is nothing in today's league. Do you understand what that is? What is that? 3 catches a game? Right? I mean, 60 yards a game, 3 catches. But his impact in the run game. So here, he's 27, soon to be 28. He's got 7,000 receiving yards. This guy has to be 14,000 yards before he's done, or he's not going anywhere. I don't care how many Super Bowls he has. You're not getting in. Reggie Wayne has a Super Bowl ring, and Reggie Wayne is 13,000. I think Reggie Wayne, let me double check where Reggie is. Now, Reggie was a 2, so that does matter. He was a 2 to Marvin Harrison. But here's Reggie Wayne. So Reggie Wayne's got 1,000 receiving yards and 14,000 yards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Pro Bowls. 3 first-team APs. He receiver of over 1,000. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times. How's AJ getting in the Hall of Fame over that? He's not. That's right. He needs more individual production. And Yale, let me ask you this. Do you think he's going to get it in Philly? Hey, and get this too. Hey, Bud, that's out of the 2-hole. So let me ask you this. You think Devontae Smith's a better number 2 receiver than Reggie Wayne? I do not. Now, the quarterback is different. The offensive approach is different. They did have Marshall Faulk and Edgerrin James. So they had Hall of Fame running backs there. The quarterback was different. But sit there and tell me that Devontae's not better than Reggie Wayne. That ain't happening. And in that offense, you got to wonder if you're AJ. Got my ring. Where am I? Yeah, well, get this. Torrey Holt don't have numbers better than Reggie. He's got a ring too. How if you're Brown, don't you go with like Cincinnati or someplace like that to try to get them numbers up before you're done? Or do you want to block in a run-first offense? Let's put it this way. Let me ask you this. Okay? Let me ask you this. Is the Eagle offense this year going to be pass first, or is it going to be run first? This year in 25, what do you think the approach is going to be? Run first or pass? So A.J. Brown. So let me ask you this. Mike Evans in Tampa. You think that's a pass-first offense? Or do you think that's a run-first offense? Bucky Irvin's a good player. Had about 490 receiving yards. Guy could play. He's not quite Bijan Robinson. Okay, but They ain't run first in Tampa. That's a pass-first offense. Mike Evans is going to keep getting his numbers. So is Chris Godwin. This kid, Emeka Ibuka, is going to get a lot of numbers this year, especially if Evans is the starter and Godwin's not ready to play in the opener. So, people are talking to me about, well, AJ's on his way to being all. No, it was like John talking about Barkley. Barkley's got some work to do, dude. Jalen and Devontae played at Bama under Nick Saban. It was never about personal accomplishments, only championships. I'm talking about being a Pro Football Hall of Famer, dude. There's only 300 of them. Sills, can you get Harold Carmichael on sometime? I think I got his number somewhere. I think he is the number one all-time Eagles receiver, Hall of Famer. We can ask him about AJ. I know this, man. I know Michael Irvin loves A.J. Brown. I see a lot of Michael Irvin and A.J. Brown. I really do. How's the O-line? Not near the Bucs. The Bucs are not near the Eagles. 2 tackles are good. I think the center's getting better. Graham Barrett, the kid from Duke, but nowhere near the Eagles. And I tell them that. The Eagles win because they mow you over. They're a lawnmower. The quarterback is a lawnmower. The running back, the receivers, they're just a lawnmower defense or offense. The football team just gets into a fist fight with you and beats you up. Okay? I know who Harold Carmichael is, Yale. Seals, would you rather have a Hall of Fame ring or multiple championship rings? It's always a great question. I could give you the cop-out answer, Crowley, and say I'd want both. But how many – let me ask you this, Crowley. It's a great question. I asked Dan Marino this question. What do you think he said? Crowley, what do you think Dan Marino said to your question? I asked him this on the air. You want the Hall of Fame. All right. So let me show you this. How many players, and I don't know this, how many NFL players have won Super Bowl rings? I just looked this up. Let's see. Total. Let's see here. Super Bowl rings. Okay, here it is. They give you a list, but only by players. But then they give you this, that there is roughly over 2,000 members that have won Super Bowl rings. So they give you an estimate of around over 2,060 years have won Super Bowl rings. How many Hall of Famers are there? NFL. 371. What do you think is more difficult to do? Win a Super Bowl ring or make the Hall of Fame? 4K in 3 years, Philly not holding AJ back. They did last year. And he's 28. Not holding him back? Okay. No matter, okay, so if he has another in 3 years and he's 31, 32, and he adds another 4, that puts him at 11,000. He's not better than Reggie Wayne. There's only 371 NFL Hall of Famers. What do you think is more difficult to do? Win a Super Bowl? Be on a good team? Don Dotson's got a ring, for God's sakes. Tanner McKee has a ring. So you're trying to tell me that Tanner McKee is ahead of the game of Warren Moon or Jim Kelly because they have a ring? It's absurd. Okay? AJ missing games out here. I'm sure that'll get better as he gets older. Probably get healthier, right, Ray? Okay? So if you're asking me, the more difficult accomplishment is by far the Hall of Fame. What would I want? Of course you'd want to have a Super Bowl because you know why? I'm not a Hall of Fame player. The Super Bowl ring appeals to people who are in a team concept because you're not going to Canton. Canton's more difficult. Dan Marino said he'd rather have the Hall of Fame ring. I thought that was cheap because that's the one he has. And I've made this conversation about Dan. There's a quarterback on the Dolphins that's more accomplished than Dan Marino. It's Bob Greasy. 3 AFC championships, 2 Super Bowl wins, Hall of Fame ring, undefeated team in the middle of that. Did he throw for a shitload of yards? No. He was probably the Jalen Hurts of his time. You could make the argument that Bob Greasy was the Jalen Hurts of his time. Guy has 3 straight AFC championships, 2 Super Bowl wins. Okay? One team was undefeated. I don't care what Jalen Hurts has done. There's very few quarterbacks that have put that resume on the table. We need what is that? Not sure what that is, but Kimberly, thank you. I think team matters more than when you get older. Being on a team, winning that accomplishment, I think once you win that accomplishment, Hurts, I think that you want that ultimate team accomplishment on your resume for sure. Just like people reflect and want family around more. You forget about your accomplishments and think about those around you. When players are talking about other players, you're not talking about Super Bowl rings. When I talk about Lawrence Taylor versus Micah Parsons, I'm not talking about Micah Parsons who hasn't won or Lawrence Taylor. I'm talking about Lawrence Taylor's better. Okay? LT's better. Hayseal's hopefully all is well. Hold him back. 1,100 yards in 13 games. Hold him back. He missed 4 games. And I'm sure he'll get healthier, Rashid, in a run-first offense. He plays once again in a run-first offense. Would you not agree the 2 previous years in the Philadelphia Eagles system in 22 and 23, it was pass first. Now it's run first. How do you think he feels about that? Would we not agree that 22-23, it was pass first? Last year, it was run first. This year, it will be run first. It'll be the second year in a row that he'll be in a run first offense. Same shit he was in when he was in Tennessee. I think AJ's top 3, and Devontae's definitely top 10. Probably he's not 6 or 7. That's not true. 6 or 7 best receiver in the game. Over who? So the best in your eyes, number 2 wideout is better than Lamb. How do you go there? When he's the least targeted guy on the team, when it comes to a guy like AJ. How can you make that distinction? I mean, wait a minute. So the Eagles have the best number 2 at 800 yards a year ago. And he's better than receivers in the game, like even the kid down in Jacksonville or the kid up. Hey, so that garbage can that was throwing to Malik Neighbors, who had over, 120 catches? Didn't have a run game, didn't have a quarterback. He still had 100 some odd catches. Yeah, okay, sure. Whatever. I'm not arguing that. Not debating a number 2 versus number 1 guys. It's like debating left tackle, right tackle on offense. You can't. There's a reason there's more left tackle Hall of Famers than right tackles. Because that's changing. There is no doubt AJ's by far better than Lamb. I'll take him every day over him. Number 1 option by default. Well, that's what they paid him for, and that's why they drafted him. So let me ask you this. When you drafted A.J. Brown, when you drafted Devontae Smith, you drafted him to be the second best receiver on your team or the first best? Let me ask you this. You had Devontae first, right? Did you not? Then why did Howie feel the need to go out and get him a better receiver? Did you ever ask yourself that? You drafted Devontae to be the number 1. And when they realized he wasn't going to be, they went and they signed AJ. I mean, so wait, according to you, they drafted Devontae Smith to be a number 2. Huh. So what position was he taken in the NFL? According to your metric, he's a bust, if that's the case. Was Smith the 11th player taken? Was Smith the 11th player taken? 10th player taken? Okay. So you drafted him to be a number 2. AJ missed 4 games, still had a K. Yeah, run first offense. I get it. That's not going to change. Go 12, 1,300 yards. By the way, I got goals to get to. Smith was the 10th player taken. And so when they drafted him 10th overall, broke a rookie record, Howie Roseman still felt compelled to trade a first-round pick away for A.J. Brown. Is that right? Why do you think he wanted to trade for another wideout? You make no sense. Wide receivers in the first round, drafted to be number 2s? Like who? Like who? Yeah. Okay. We needed a better player. I don't know what happened last year. Okay. Let's see here. Yeah. And then you went the next year and you traded for A.J. Brown. Is that right? Why? He broke a rookie record. Right? Why did you feel compelled to go get a quarterback or a receiver then after that? That has to be the only time I've ever seen a wideout drafted in the first round where an organization went, yeah, we drafted him to be a 2. Yeah, I'm sure that kid from Arizona, they drafted to be a 2. All right. Oh, by the way, let me get to my goals. Wrong? What am I wrong about? You had you had Devontae on the team first, right? Why did you feel compelled to go get another one and make him the one and make him a two? Devontae is one of the best route runners. So's Adam Thielen. He's open quite often, but Jalen wasn't getting the ball to him. Making another Jalen Hurts conversation here. Also, Mike Evans has not been better than AJ. AJ's been better since 19. AJ has 7,000 Evans. Dude, are you really trying to tell me you think AJ Brown's had a better career? Let's do the first 6 years. I don't know what you're talking about. The first 6 years or 7 years of his career versus AJ Brown's first 7 years. That's how you do it. That's an unbelievably shitty take. He has not had a better career. Here's Ben, my friend, over. Eagles have the number one offense. Do you agree? No. The number one talent? Yes. Yes. Nobody's messing with you. Nobody's messing with you. You are the bully on the block until somebody beats you up. Okay? Now, that's where I'm going to stick with 2024. Until someone beats you up. And I don't see it on the horizon. Nobody's going to beat that offense up. I saw a stat where I saw the Eagles had the fifth best offense. I'm like, that's not true. Okay? That is not true. So, but you're the most dominant. Hey, Ben, my friend, over. You are the most dominant. Okay? Evans, as of today, better career, zero debate. Zero debate. There's no debate. Mike Evans has been an underrated Hall of Fame first ballot. Jalen went to Howie on AJ's behalf. AJ spoke about it on the podcast. Howie's not going to trade for him. Yeah, but they did. Great. Great content on a podcast. They did. Eagles are the modern-day Broad Street bullies. Absolutely agree. Thought that was absolutely. Ben, my friend, over. It's become a big hit with the program. I like him. It's okay. Hey, Ben, my friend, over. I hope you have a great Father's Day. Whatever that means, I have no idea, Ben, my friend, over. All right. Okay. I got this from Zach Bond. Okay? They are. I got this from Zach Bond. You know, Zach, he talked to the media the other day, and Zach was saying how he hasn't set goals yet. So I started thinking during this time, why don't we set some goals here for some of these guys? All right? Guys, do me a favor. Please hit the like button. I appreciate you guys here on this Friday, heading into Father's Day. Give me an update on the U.S. Open, too, on who's winning that bitch. Let me take a look. And by the way, if it's somebody not American, I don't care. Okay? And that includes Rory. I only root for Americans. So let me see here. JJ Spawn. Yeah, well, that guy won't hang on. He won't hang on. Ben Griffin. Yeah, he won't hang on. Let's see. Si Woo Kim guy. Yeah, I won't be rooting for him. I only root for Americans. Yeah, especially in today's landscape. Let's see here. Oh, look at that. Where's Scotty Scheffler? Okay, there's Brooks Koepka. Okay, he went down. Not good. So he's +2. He's still hanging in there, though. Yeah, I'm not rooting for any of these guys. Suhu Wang, Kung Fu, and Victor Perez, and Thomas Dietrich. Yeah, none of that guys. I don't root for that. I root for Americans. Su Won Kid, General So. I don't do that. Who had a better 2024? AJ or Evans? Congratulations. That's like asking me this. So he had a better season. Great. And that don't mean he's a better ball player. I said right now, AJ's better. Mike Evans is probably going to retire, dude. And he still has 11 years. Mike Evans is a first ballot Hall of Fame player. End of story. End of story. And you root for losers like Josh Allen. You mean the reigning MVP? Best player in the NFL at his position? Oh, I wrote something down for all you Hertzites. Shit, this is right up your alley. Holy cow. Where is this BS? Let me see here. All you Hertites. Where is that note? Oh, my God. This is crazy great. Look at this, man. I spilled shit on my stuff. Look at this. Jalen Hurts. The best passers when behind. Joe Burrow. Wait a minute. Who's got a ring? Tanner McKee. Joe Burrow, number 1, 120.3 when behind in games. Lamar Jackson, 107, number 2. Jordan Love, number 3, 104, Packers, passer rating. Jalen Hurts, 103.5, number 4, passer rating. Josh Allen was 7th, 101.3. Look at Jalen right there in the top 5 when trailing with a damn good passer rating. Holy shit. Very bad when you throw the ball 4 times a game, though. It's all good. But you said AJ had a down year. He did. Mike Evans had 1,000 yards in his 12th year. Yeah. Wait a minute. So you don't think A.J. Brown had a down year with 65 catches and 1,050 receiving? Or no? Says you could save it for the biggest Jalen night at 3:30. Yeah. Mike Evans, first year. Hey, man. Mike Evans, are you really trying to tell me you think Mike Evans? So wait a minute here. Here. This guy is so full of shit. Mike Evans. Oh, God. I hate doing this bullshit because, again, Mike Evans. Let's go down the list here. Let's see. Mike Evans. First 6, let's see. How many first 6 years? 1,051. 1,206. 1,351. 1,000. 7,064. 1,554. And 1,157. 8,300 yards. And how many TDs? 13, 3, 12. It's 25, 28. I'm not doing this shit. Thanks for the super, dude. 11 straight times he went over $1,000. Bro, A.J. Brown's not a better player. He is not a better player. And how many times? Let me see here. Let's go here. Let's look at A.J. A.J. Brown. His years in Tennessee, A.J. Brown had 50 catches, 1,000, 70, 1,000, 63, 800. Dude, he's not a better player. How many catches, too, has this guy had in his career? All right. So I wrote down some goals. Okay. Oh, and by the way, he's now not in a run or a pass happy offense. He's in a run offense. Okay. He's in a run offense. Okay. And hey, for the record, I wrote these down. You tell me where you go. Here's my numbers for Jalen Hurts. Here's the goals we set. You ready? How do you feel about this? Jalen Hurts. I'll make something else to you, Rashid. Why don't you put them numbers up to Antonio Brown? Put them numbers up to Antonio Brown. He ain't better than Brown. That was my debate initially. Better than Antonio Brown. And he ain't. I got Jalen Hurts at 3,500. 25 touchdowns. 650 rushing. And 12 TDs with a 67 QB. Nobody moved the goalpost. You weren't here, douchebag. That was my opening comment. Evan, 17 games to get 1K. AJ, right. One guy's 32. Will be his last season. I didn't say AJ wasn't better right now. And that was a down year for AJ. Sure. Dude, AJ Brown has not had a better career than Mike Evans or Antonio Brown. He is not. That's how we started the program off. That was my open because of Brown being accused of murder. You weren't here for it. So do me a favor, dude. When you come here, make sure you fucking listen to the beginning of the program. Evans has been in a pass-happy offense all his career, especially later on. AJ has always been in a run-first offense. Not the previous 2 years he wasn't. No, they were pass-happy first. Okay? And that's not true. Don't you agree? You were literally comparing Evans to Brown. The fuck you talk? I was. I said, I asked after I asked Antonio Brown. Guys, who was here from the beginning? I'm not debating this dickhead. He wasn't here from the beginning. I opened up with Antonio Brown fucking being arrested for attempted murder. And I asked you if you thought that AJ was a Hall of Famer and that he was a better player than Antonio Brown. And then I said, do you think he's better than Mike Evans? There were two dudes I was talking about. LJ, you weren't here for it. So kiss my nuts. You weren't here for it. Got me. Congratulations. Now you can write my name on your hand for the weekend. Congratulations. Thank you, bud. I mean, thank you. You got to listen. Unfortunately, you listen to 2% of what I say. That's exactly how we opened the program. No, not okay. Write my name in your hand. Go do what you guys do, and it's all good. Okay? All right. Like I said, if you think that AJ's a Hall of Famer, I started the program off. Antonio Brown blows that guy away. Then I said, do you think he's better than Mike Evans? Mike Evans has had 11 consecutive years in a Super Bowl ring where he has done it consistently. Got his ass. Got what ass? Me being right? I mean, yeah, okay. It is in Philly. Let me ask you guys this. In 2025, is the Philadelphia Eagle team going to be a pass-happy team? Are they going to be pass first or run? Yes or no? Are they? Yes or no? Run or pass? This guy, I don't even read it. I just see things I don't know. Okay? And coming up this year, do you believe that the offense will be pass first or run first? How many people believe? What do you think the offense is going to be? Run or pass first? Okay. Because that's the formula, right? For success. Hurts is going to pass for 2K this year. And guess what? That means Barkley went for another 2K. AJ's not a better player than Antonio, but AJ is better. He's not better than Mike Evans. I disagree. Mike Evans has been 10 times more consistent as a ball player than what Mike Evans has been. He's just been more consistent. Accomplishments speak to it. And that's a number one. Okay? That's right, Kimberly. Because, once again, he's going to be in a position where he's going to be blocking again. Now, will he put up 1,500 yards? Get this. Here's my goals for him. I've got him down for 1,400 yards and 85 catches and 10 touchdowns. Does that sound like I'm down on him? And Zander was right. I had to do one thing. I had to make it count up. If I think Hurts is going to go for 3,500, okay, then I've got to add it up. I say AJ's 1,400 yards. Do you agree? How 1,400, 85, and 10. Does that sound right? What do you think? 1,400, 85, and 10. Okay. Devontae. I've got him at 900 yards, 80 catches, and 88 touchdowns. Who's had a better career, Tua or Hurts? Jalen. Goddard. I got 700 yards, 56 catches, and 6 TDs. Here's Barkley. I got Barkley at 1,600. 12 touchdowns. 290 receiving yards. That comes, and then you add the third wide receiver hole. Okay? I don't believe Devontae. Somebody's going to suffer in that. Because you're not going to how many times do you, well, here, Yale, how many rushing attempts do you think you're going to have this year? And don't say that. I hear John McMullen say that all the time. Situational. Wasn't situational last year. It's what you were doing best. You really think the Eagles did anything situational last year? Or was that by design? What in the world would you think that was situational? They lined up, mowed you over, ran you fucking over. They went into every game with the notion they were going to run your ass over, and they did it. Where in the world do you see that? Okay? On defense, I got Jalix Hunt at 11.5 sacks. I got Nolan Smith at 7.5. By the way, in this style of defense, that's all you guys need. You guys don't need to have 15 or 16 sacks. You really don't. Okay? Zach Bond, 145. 4 picks. 5 sacks. Wait till you hear about here's Cooper. Here's my prediction on Cooper DeJean in 2025. You ready? Cooper DeJean is going to lead the NFL in interceptions. How you doing? That's going to stick that kid's ass on the all-pro team, not Pro Bowl. Jalen Carter, 8.5 sacks. He just might make first team all-pro this year. Jordan Davis. Here's my Jordan Davis take. Jordan Davis will have 2.5 sacks. What do you have a year ago? These guys have 2.5 sacks at $12 million. The guy Moro Jomo, or who's that other guy? Booker T. Washington, the third. That guy will have more sacks than what Jordan Davis will. What's that guy's name? Booker T. Washington will have more sacks. Holy shit. Man, look at this. I got a ton of shit here on this Friday, heading into Papa's Day. All right. What a fun topic. What a fun time. I love it. You got 5 weeks. We're in the kill zone. Wait, we're in the sill zone, I should say. This is Sileo heaven. Get this. One of my favorite things to hear. Man, this is kind of like every show. It's not here. And we're talking everywhere. Well, it's kind of the downtime. I'm like, that's because you're a gimp and you're weak. Okay? That's because you're a gimp and you're weak. And you don't know how to do a show like yours truly. All right. By the way, my young grasshopper is killing it because he's now taking that same baton. He's not doing days off. Okay? He's not. He's learning how to do this thing, and he's doing it very well. By the way, make sure you check out Birds 365. And without further ado, with the voice coming back, by Monday, I'll be rocking. I'll be rocking. And we'll be 4 weeks out from that bitch starting up on July 21st. It is my boy. And I am proud to bring him in because he takes no days off too. Big Z, Zander Krause.
What up, Big Sills? How you doing, brother?
How you doing, Junior?
It's a Football Friday live from the porch.
I come up with them all, don't I?
Yes, you do, my friend. Yes, you do, my friend.
All right, let me ask you. I really did. I started it off because of that unfortunate situation that's going on with Antonio Brown. I mean, Antonio Brown's numbers are stupid.
So what's going on there? By the way, I didn't really read the full story.
He's being charged with attempted murder.
So he said he got robbed or something, and then what happened? He picked a gun up or something and fired it at him?
And aimed at somebody, and now there's a warrant for his arrest. And they're now here's a guy. When you look at his numbers, I mean, Zander, over 130 catches, 1,800 yards. I mean, he's got Canton numbers. I mean, there's nobody in contemporary football right now.
He was one of the most fun players to watch ever when he was in his prime. He was unbelievable. But I don't know. I mean,
Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, I know you were comparing it like, to A.J. Brown, and it's a tough thing to do, obviously, because I think both of them are amazing players. Like, I don't want to say
absolutely
a good thing about A.J. to disparage. I mean, obviously, Antonio Brown was what he was, but I do think A.J. Brown is one guy that you could say, I think he probably would have had similar success in that offense in that time with Ben Roethlisberger during that era of football. Like, again, not taking away from Antonio, he certainly has a better resume right now, but I think A.J. Brown is one guy I would say, I think he's got that level of upside for sure.
Well, and you're right. A.J., the majority of his career, do you agree, has played in a run-dominant offense?
For sure. I mean, I don't think that's an opinion at all.
Only not from last year and then the previous two when he got here. Would we not say 22 and 23 were pass?
They were, but they were still a running identity football team. Like, remember 22 when Jalen was super successful. Why was Jalen so successful in 22? Who remembers? It was RPO. The RPO, and that team was kind of built around a run. It looked different for sure, but it was still built around the run. It wasn't like one of these modern football pass-happy offenses where quarterbacks are throwing 45, 46, 47, sometimes 5,000 yards. So I think it's much different, but he definitely has been in a run-heavy offense much of his career.
Who do you think's had a better career? And like you said, AJ's got a lot more work to do. I mean, he does, and he's been in 6 years, there's no doubt.
Right.
When you look at Mike Evans, what do you make of Mike Evans' career? 11 straight years of consistency of being over 1,000 yards. He's got 105 receptions. Now, again, you got to remember, this is 11 years versus 6. So we're still waiting to see how this is going to unfold. Now, before I even ask you to answer do you believe that A.J. Brown retires an Eagle?
Retires an Eagle? Oof. My optimistic me says yes. My realistic me says no chance. But okay. I do think that he has embraced this city, and the city rightfully has embraced him back. And I think even with the problems that he brings up, like you have a problem with your brother or your best friend, or me and you have a problem, it's based out of love. It's not, I don't think it's, I'm upset here and I'm going to run.
It's not malice intent.
Right. Exactly. I think, I do think he loves it here. And I think if the business of it adds up, which it might not, let's be real, the guy's a very highly paid wide receiver. I'd like to say he would finish here, but that's very optimistic.
I think these wideouts, man, they look at like where they are and what he's got his ring now. I'm not saying he doesn't want more, but I made a comment to you about Julian Edelman. Julian Edelman's got 3 Super Bowl rings. He's the all-time Super Bowl receiver, and he's got a Super Bowl MVP. It's not going to get you to Canton because of the numbers that he doesn't have during the regular season. No Pro Bowls, none of that. He's not going, even though he's been a great player. These receivers are based on accomplishments. Do you think he gets that in a run-first offense here in Philly? And will he embrace it for another year when you know that, again, now I will give you guys, and I'll concede this, he missed a boatload of games. Would he have been probably around 1,300 yards? I don't know that. You know why? Because they were running the ball a ton.
Yeah, but isn't there another way to look at this where AJ's in such a good spot where his down years are 1,000 yards and he missed 4 games? Like, he hasn't had under 1,000 yards. Just to bring it back to the Mike Evans commentary, and this isn't to take away from Mike Evans. I think what he's done across 11 years is nothing short of amazing. But we talk about 11 straight 1,000-yard years. Well, AJ's had 1,000 yards every year here. And let's be real, last year was, the worst of those years. And for him, statistically, and he still was over 1,000. So it's like if his up years are 14, 15, 1,600 and his down years are 1,000, it's like, haven't we gotten greedy? You know what I mean? Like, that's pretty damn good. Now, the modern game has changed. Obviously, 1,000 yards at 1,200, it's like the new 1,000. You can even say 1,300 to the new 1,000. But I still think it's impressive what he's doing here. Like, I don't think it's as bad as I don't think it's as bad as like maybe we might make it seem when AJ
I don't
makes
think
a
it's
comment.
bad at all.
Yeah.
I don't think it's bad at all, but let's put this into context here too. Okay, I mean, he is in a run-first offense. He's not in. And if you look at that I have Jason Cole. I'm going to ask Cole this question. If he looks at right now A.J. Brown in the same light as a Mike Evans player and again, it's hard because Mike got more resume.
Doesn't Mike represent though like such a what was Mike's? Do you have his stats up? What was his like most yards ever in a year?
15-24. 15-24.
15-24. So like that was his top. AJ did that 2 years in a row. Mike, and then again, this is not at all
not a rip
compliment, but he's like that. You know how some guys just like they're your steady Eddie guys, right? Like he's gonna be there, he's gonna get his 1,000 yards, but he doesn't give you a 2,000 yard upside or anything like that. He's more floats around 1,200 yards is probably his average.
Yeah, like that 1,100.
I do think AJ has more like of an upside as a player where I think if AJ got the ball more, he could be an explosive 2,000 yard back like Jamar Chase was last year. I truly believe AJ has that. I don't know if Mike has that type of talent because he's a bigger dude. He's a little slower.
I don't know Mike's an explosive player like
that.
He's
not. He's more of a great hands, great catch radius, a steady, consistent, reliable player. AJ is that, but he also has the upside, I think.
He's kind of like a Hopkins, right? Like a DeAndre Hopkins kind of guy.
I think he's a little more physical than that, a little bit more imposing than that.
That's right, especially in the red zone.
Maybe a combo of DeAndre and Mike Evans. It might be a good way to go with it. He kind of reminds me. A player he reminds me of a little bit. And he's much better than this player, but like an Anquan Bolden. You remember like the way he
played for Ravens.
Yeah, so I don't know, maybe something like that. Maybe a little fusion of that with a DeAndre, with a little Mike Evans. I don't know. I think AJ's got a lot of different players that he resembles.
Yeah, no, I look. I'm just going to wonder how he feels about now. If you looked at it from 30,000 feet, say you're one of these voters. And by the way, I can't wait to get Jason and ask him this, how he sees A.J. Brown. Because, again, I was talking about Mike Evans this morning. And Mike was talking to Jerry Rice. Jerry Rice is the greatest wide receiver in the history of the sport. And Zander, the guy's over 20,000 yards, and he's got 200 touchdowns receiving. There's nobody close to those numbers.
It's unbelievable, his numbers.
I mean, think of this. He probably touched the ball 4 times a game. And he had 200 TDs.
That's unbelievable, dude.
How now, it did help he had Young in Montana. There's no doubt that he had those players, but let me put this out there to you with him. So, do you think he's going to have a problem with the approach this year, AJ?
Well, I do think. Don't you think it naturally does come up a little bit, the passing game this year?
Yeah, but how? Where do you see improvement?
Well, I'll tell you where. He missed 4 games last year. If we just assume he plays if he just plays every game and they have the same offense, the dude's still going to shit.
Health, lack of sacks.
And he's still going to shit out 1,300 yards. I don't think there's a real issue is kind of my original point. Like, you're always going to want more, especially when you're a great player. But I don't think the truth of the matter is that there's as tangible of a problem as even AJ made it seem like when he read the book and said we have a problem in the passing game. Like, you got 1,000 yards and you missed 4 games. Like, what are we doing here?
Let me go on the other end of that. So how many games did he miss?
4.
How many games did Devontae miss?
3? I think 3 or 2.
7 games those guys weren't on the field, and they still won the Super Bowl in dominating fashion. If I'm the Eagles, how important are those guys on the field? Now, I know they are. I know.
Yeah,
I know
what were the worst games
AJ
of the year? Right.
What
were the worst games of the year?
Okay, 7 games they weren't on the field, and they beat the piss out of people.
Yeah, but the worst games of the year were the games that those guys were out.
After the bye, they didn't lose a game when Hurts was in the full
game.
Yeah,
but 3 of the games AJ missed were pre-bye week. His 4th game was week 18 that everybody sat out. So week 18 is kind of a wash, let's be real. And then I think Devontae missed the Tampa game, and I think
I thought
maybe
both of
another.
them were out. I thought
Both
both
of
of
them
them
were
were
out.
out.
I know
Lane.
both of them missed. Yeah, both of them missed the Tampa game. I think Devontae might have missed 2 games before the bye, and that was the ugliest part of the year.
Yeah,
You know,
I mean, yeah. Hey,
I don't remember what other game Devontae missed. Maybe the
I thought
Steeler
Devontae
game,
missed the Carolina game.
Carolina game, maybe.
I mean,
Maybe.
so was it later in the year?
I don't know. I'd have to go and look. But no, your point is still correct. We dominated everybody after the bye week, whether you guys were getting the ball or not.
I mean, yeah. I mean, like, because that's why when people keep going, and you're right, health and Hurts maybe not taking sacks. That's how you improve, because that's field position, right?
Right.
Also, that's cleanup, right? Do you not agree?
Yeah.
You don't even have to really throw the ball more.
Yeah.
Because then you're talking about plus yardage. That
Yeah,
improves the pass game anyway, right?
Nope. Absolutely. Yep.
All right. So let me go here. I wrote these numbers down for you. You tell me what you think. We kind of did this a little bit the other day. And I wanted to get your thoughts here. So this is what I said. And you're right. I had to add them up, Zander. I couldn't just throw gratuitous numbers out.
All right.
So I got Hurts at 3,500 yards, 25 TD passes, 650 rushing, 12 tush push, 12 red zone.
You got a good
rush,
season for Hurts.
and 67 completion percentage.
I'm perfect with that season. I don't need anything more than that. How do you feel about that season? If he does that,
no, I think he's capable of doing that. I think you're going to.
And if he does it, though, do you think that's a good season?
Yes, I do, because I'm going to show you where he compensated, where you say they're going to improve a little bit. AJ, I got him at 1,400 yards, 85 receptions, and 10 touchdowns. Sound right?
85's a little good. I'd like to see the 85 go up a little bit, but I think you're very realistic with where it's probably going to be. 85. How many touchdowns? 8?
10.
10. That's good. I like that.
And well, it's got to add up, like you said.
Yeah. And I think they, I think the AJ Brown conversation also has some true sills too. Bro, just get AJ Brown the ball more. Like, he might sound like a whiner, but dude, that guy is an unbelievable football player. Yep. Like, would the Dallas Cowboys not wanting to get Michael Irvin or Emmitt Smith the ball? I know you have Saquon, but you also have AJ Brown. Get him the football, and they know that. But I think they're going to try and get him the ball to make sure they get him the ball this year, because good things happen when he has the ball.
Because of the run first, I've got Devontae at 80 catches, 950 receptions, 950 reception yards, and 8 touchdowns.
950. I want to see him get. I want to see over 1,000 this year for Smitty, but I'm okay with that.
Goddard, I got 700.
Ooh, good year for Goddard.
Because hey, he's auditioning,
right,
for the Eagles and for other people, right?
But he's still not in control, man. Hurts got to throw him that ball.
56 catches and 6 touchdowns. That adds up to the 25 TDs. Right there with those 3 men alone.
Wow.
Okay? Barkley, and here's the additional 290 yards. I got Barkley at 1,600 rushing, 12 touchdowns, still averaging 6 a carry, 290 yards receiving.
That's good. What were your rushing yards?
1,600.
Okay, that's about where I'm thinking this year too.
Well, because I upped Hurts' pass numbers.
Yeah, and that's where I think too. I just don't think he's going to be able to run for 2,000 again, to no fault of his own. I think teams are going to do everything they can to take him out of the game because he's that good. And I think 1,600 is a good number. In fact, 1,600 might be impressive. If defense is playing the way I think they're going to play them, that's going to be impressive.
I don't remember anybody after a 2K season going that high.
Yeah. Well, who did Terrell Davis get close again?
I thought he did like 1,400, something like that.
I'd have to go and look. That's a good thing to go and look at.
Okay, here's my defensive guys. I got Jalen Hunt at 11.5 sacks.
Whoa. You have a bigger jump than Jalen Carter had year 2.
I got Jalen Hunt 11.5. And yes,
all right,
I'll eat crow on the pick.
Well, Well, yeah, that's fine. I mean, that's not really eating crow. The guy was a developmental player.
Bro, I thought he was going to be ready 2-3 years from now.
That
Not now.
pick is, I don't really think you need to eat crow in that pick. But I will say this. I don't have my notebook out here, but remember when we did our bold predictions, which I brought up recently, you had in your predictions that Jalix Hunt would have more sacks than Nolan Smith, which I used today, by the way, on Birds. But you had 6.5. So you're growing in optimism on Jalix Hunt, Big Sills.
I am.
Yeah, good to see. Good to see.
Yeah. The more I hear Vic talk about him, Vic makes me have more confidence in him.
Yep,
That
I
guy's
agree.
not just going to throw people out there like that.
I know.
If you notice what he does, every single time that he talks about the edge rushers, he talks about Jalix Hunt first. He goes, we got Hunt out there, and we got Nolan. Nolan, who we really like. Kid Hunt, he brings him up all the time.
Right.
Always look at the chronological order how Vic talks about somebody. Then you'll know who he's thinking about at the top of his mind and who he's watching on film more. Zander, when I watch a game or I watch game film, and coaches who watch game film, you know what happens to them? They condition their own minds. You know how they condition it? When I'm watching Jalen Hurts and I'm watching and he's playing, going through plays, and you're cutting up film and you're looking at grades, you're looking at what he did and not. The reason that you bring up Hurts' name all the time is because you're conditioned, because you're seeing him on film and you're gauging him. The guys that you see on film all the time, that's why, remember, you did something that was so smart. When I heard him say Tristan McCullum, I know Tristan McCullum was in the conversation to win that safety job.
Yeah. Well,
he just doesn't put that dude in there just because.
Well, to your credit, Sills, you've been on that well before he said it this offseason. You didn't need to hear it this offseason. You said, I watched them use him in the games last year. Okay. Yep. I think he's in the play. And I think you were right. That's a credit to you being around the game for a long time, obviously understanding defensive coaches. But yeah, no, I think you're right. I mean, I think Vic is giving a lot of optimism, honestly, on a lot of players, Sills. Like, I feel like Vic is giving me optimism on Trotter. Vic is giving me optimism, as you point out, on Jalix. Vic is giving me optimism on Keely Ringo.
You know what? I'm going to say this about Trotter. You know why I think he likes Trotter? What do you think the number one thing?
Instinct.
I think it's beyond that. Okay. I think he knows where to line up. I think he has a savant for the game, and he knows
football IQ.
The football IQ shit. Like when he sees splits, for Vic to say and have that kind of confidence in him, he must look at the splits and he must see him cheating, sliding. If you see wide splits, what are they trying to do? Move up, trying to run the ball inside on you.
Right.
That's from his pop, schooling him and giving him the understanding. When you do tight splits, what are they trying to do? Trying to get out wide on you. And I see him, when you watch him, especially when the Eagles point that and put that film out, you see him move out a little bit. I think he likes that kid's IQ.
Yeah.
I mean, he knows what he's doing.
It's a good take. You couple that with the right instinct, you can make up for any lack of athleticism or speed or anything like that.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Here's Zach Bond. I got 145 tackles. I got 4 sacks. 4 picks, 5 sacks.
4 picks. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you think Zach Bond's going to have another big year, huh?
I think they have to have. He has to play like that with so many young guys up there.
Yeah, well, you're not wrong about that. He certainly is going to have a good year. I mean, especially with the money we paid him and with the law. Part of the losses on defense are a result of choosing to pay him. So if he doesn't play, if he doesn't have a great year, you're basically another loss on defense. So, he's going to have to play really good this year, which I think he will.
I think you're going to be shocked with this one. I got Cooper DeJean leading the NFL in picks.
Yeah, I heard you say that. And I can see why you would say that. I guess
you know why? Because he's going to be in multiple positions.
Yeah, and he's such a hawk for the ball. I mean, he really does have a good knack for where the ball is going and where it's going to be. It's one of his best traits. We're reason he picked off Mahomes. I mean, he played that play perfectly. So I don't hate it. That's you got some lofties in here, though, my friend.
Well, the reason I'm doing that is because, if I got him in base and safety, then I got him in nickel on third down, then I got him in dime, and I might even put him at corner. I mean, dude, the opportunities for him to get more picks, just common sense would tell you, because he's in more positions to have more opportunities.
Right. Nope, I agree.
I mean, okay. So here's Jalen Carter. I got 8.5. 8.5 sacks.
Jalen Carter, I think that's fine. I don't think Jalen Carter is ever going to be like a sack artist type of player. Like even Dexter Lawrence is more of a
Bro, I
sack
think 8.5 is great.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I think that's fine. I mean, honestly, that's a lot. Yeah, that's a lot. I want him to wreck games more than I want him to sack the quarterback. I mean, Sills, here's the other thing you got to remember too, and maybe this is just for me. I don't speak for all Philly fans, but I will speak for me. My perception on what's required on defense has shifted based on what we just saw, right? Like I watched 22 where the sacks are the fun things on defense, where that's what you want. That's what, the sack guys are paid the most. That's what, people celebrate on social media is the sacks. And I watched 4 guys have double digits that year. And then I watched the defense fold in the biggest moment versus last year. We had an 8.5 sack guy as our leading guy. Nobody really exploded off the page, but the defense worked together better than they ever have. And they suffocated one of the best quarterbacks and offensive minds in football in the Super Bowl. Like that jaded what I desire in a defensive lineman and really an overall defense.
Let me ask you a buck question. You think Hassan Reddick has to reestablish his reputation? I said he did.
Reputation as a player, as a pass rusher, as a what?
As a person you can rely on.
Yeah, I think for sure. When's the last time he did something really good?
Philly.
22? No, 23
Okay.
He had a good year. He had a good year in 23.
It started because he had a cast on.
Right. So it started a little slow. But, dude, a year off in the NFL world is an eternity. And remember, there was a lot of publicity around his name. It wasn't a quiet year off.
No.
It was a year off of I'm holding out, I'm this, I'm samurai swords and Fugazi, all sorts of bullshit. And then you don't play, you get 1 sack when you do play. So you're right. I think he's got to prove himself.
I took a lot of shit for that. I said, this guy's reputation to me, you walk into a building and you're Johnny Kung Fu and you got like your slippers on and your fucking umbrella and you're trying to tell me and you got $14 million for a sack and a half. He had a sack and a half.
Right.
And I said, when you walk into the building, I mean, you're not Myles Garrett, dude. You got to roll into that building. You got to earn your reputation back. I got 2.5 sacks for Cupcake.
Who's Cupcake?
What do you think? Why? I don't even really have to say his name. I got Cupcake.
Boy,
Come on, Cupcake.
If he's Cupcake, you're like an industrial pound cake. Are you kidding me, my friend?
I get it at 60. I am. This guy's 23.
That was a low blow. I'm not going there.
Hey, and get this. This guy's 23, and he's an upside down cake.
Yeah. That was a low blow by me. I apologize for my low blow.
Yes.
Yeah, 2.5. I think that's probably right. I mean, what do you want from the guy? Do you want him to be a free, what do you want him to be, Sileo?
I just
want what does he need to do to get your approval?
I want him to be in shape every game. Just show up in shape. The Wawa has the shittiest pizza.
His best games of the year last year were in the playoffs.
Oh my God, cutting up a season just to make it sound good.
Well, no,
okay?
but that's a testament to his conditioning. It was certainly.
And then his coach ripped him. How come he wasn't in shape in the first 15? He goes, I'm going to pass on that one.
Listen, Jordan Davis is on the Peloton now, Sileo.
Oh,
fear not, the Peloton is here to save the day.
Hey, Mrs. Krause, I know you watched the show, and I know you're going to be making some good grub this weekend for Father's Day. Always remember this. Big Sills will be completely out of shape at your dinner table, man. I'll be scooping that stuff up there. So, hey, I do have a question on Devontae.
My mom could open a restaurant tomorrow. She'd be sold out night one. Yeah.
My grandma was like the Betty Crocker of Guinea old ladies.
Yeah.
Holy cow. Would have been. Oh, my God.
My mom makes her own bread though, Sills. She does all her own starter, sourdough, focaccia, everything, man. She does everything start to finish. And let me tell you, I'm spoiled because of it now, dude.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I go around like it's funny though. I'll be around my girlfriend's family. If they're listening, it's all love. It's not. They might be listening. I'm not sure. But they look at me and it's like, man, I'm used to being served by my Italian mother, the finest of meals, and that'll change a man. All right. That'll change a man.
So I got a question about your boy Devontae. What pick was he picked again? I forget.
10th overall, Sileo.
10th overall pick. What year was that? 21?
Yeah.
20. Wow. Let me think about that. So 2021. 2021. You spent the 10th pick on the draft for a wide receiver. Why in the world do you think Howie felt compelled to go get a number one? If you drafted a guy in 21, so did you draft Devontae Smith to be a number 2? Or what? I'm kind of confused here a little bit here. I mean, after record-setting rookie year.
Wait a second. Sileo, don't do this.
Wait, I'm asking a question.
Wait a second.
So you had to trade a first-round pick the following year.
No.
For number one.
I'm saving you. I'm being a good producer.
I'm asking a question.
I'm saving you. You've had a Shohei Ohtani offseason so far. You're batting 3 for 10.
Hold
all right?
on.
It's record-setting for you. Don't tell me that Devontae Smith was a shitty draft pick.
I'm not saying that.
Don't do it.
I didn't say that. You're filling the blank in. I asked you.
Oh, I'm filling the blank in based on 5 years of religious listening to the great Big Sills.
Oh, wait. So you wasted.
Something tells me I'm right.
Wait, 10th pick in the draft. Not wasted. 10th pick. Wow. Top 10 pick. So then the next year, Howard Roseman and Associates goes, I think I need to trade a number one away for a number one so that I can make the guy I drafted number 10 a 2 so that I can get the guy from Tennessee to make him a 1. Why in the world would he trade a first-round pick away for H.A. Brown if he felt that guy was going to be a number 1? He obviously never felt Devontae Smith was going to be a number 1.
Yeah, look at Kyle, man. Kyle is so fun. Zander, you've been demoted to little Z. Well, that's because Kyle's the most Sileo-ized person I've ever met in my
Kyle,
life.
I love you, baby.
Kyle, wake up. Kyle, wake up. Boo. Boo, Kyle. Wake up, Kyle.
Why in the world why did they demote him to a 2?
What do you mean demote him?
Yeah, he gets less targets. He's not the 1. He's the Z.
Well,
the Y is the number 1. Oh, wait. The Y is the 2. The Z is the 1.
They built a tandem of a 1A and a 1B is really what they did. Yeah, and they got 2 receivers that, it was a little bit of an overcorrection to their mistakes at receiver. You remember before Devontae Smith, we were in wide receiver hell. All right, so Howie went and nailed the draft pick and then doubled up. And, to his credit, it certainly made up for some of the misses that we had there previously. And the thing I push back on is, are we worried about the semantics of where Devontae is on the roster, or are we looking at what they did worked? Because the offense that they built, as you mentioned earlier in this segment, just dominated their way to a Super Bowl. I mean, you sound like Kyle Kokorski.
So wait. I mean, so you're telling me then that the wide receivers that they drafted and traded for, both number 1 draft picks involved in it, first round picks were involved in it. You think that wasn't a demotion to Devontae?
It wasn't a demotion. It was an acquisition.
By making him the second option at wideout.
It was an acquisition.
Okay, wait. Is Devontae Smith the second option in the passing game?
Absolutely.
That's a 2.
Yeah, I didn't say he wasn't a 2. He's a 1B.
Okay, so he's been demoted.
He's a 1B.
He's a 1. Look, he's a 1B. Oh,
he is. That's what he is.
He's a 1B. All right. Yeah.
How many teams in the league would Devontae Smith be a number 1 wideout on?
Oh, geez.
How many teams in the league would he be a number 1 wideout on?
If he was on like Joe Burrow's team.
No. Why
Let's
Joe
see.
Burrow's team? That team also has 2.
Let's see here. Oh, T. Higgins is a 1?
Well, they got 2 good receivers. How much are they paying him? More than they're paying Devontae.
That's
Mr. Money, Mr. Moneybag statistician Sileo over there. That's all you care about.
Accomplishment. Oh, money? I do care about money.
I know you do.
Like you don't. Hey, look at this guy pretending over here. What are you talking about?
But I'm not pretending I don't.
How can you?
It's not the only way to judge a receiver, though.
How can? But that's how diva receivers look at it. You know that.
Wait a second.
Look at paychecks.
Did the way that the Eagles built the roster, the offense, did it work?
When they got Barkley, yeah.
So what's your gripe?
I was just asking why you wasted a number 1.
No.
And then the following year, you felt you had to trade for another wideout.
How can you utter the word waste when we won a Super Bowl?
But I've never seen a wide receiver 1 year drafted 10th overall, and that team felt compelled to trade a number 1 wideout or a number 1 pick away.
Is that your choice of
get
word?
Another one.
You went from Shohei Ohtani to Brandon Marsh in one segment.
What was that pick that you traded for Devontae or for AJ?
18 overall.
Okay, so you felt 1 year, hey, we're going to put the 10th pick up. Next year, I'm going to put the 18th pick up because I want a better guy or a better option. You think that sounds normal?
That's not what they did. They built
it's
their
totally
team.
What they did. It's what they're doing.
But they built their team.
The passing game goes through AJ, not Devontae.
Wait a second, Sileo. Let me ask you a question, man. You got a great right tackle, right? You got Lane Johnson. Do you just stop there? I don't want a good right guard. I have a good right tackle. I got a great left tackle. I don't need a good left guard.
You got that one guy in the 7th round at the other end.
Yeah, but that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that you don't stop acquiring good players because you acquired a good player the year before.
The 7th rounder versus a 5th pick in the draft, that's a different way of looking at how you built that. You didn't know Mulata was going to be.
That's not a perfect scenario.
Yes, it's totally not. Because one guy was not a big draft pick.
The point is you spend assets to improve the position on the field. Wide receiver 2 starts every play.
The 10th player in the draft, and then the following freaking year you go.
You say
I need a little more.
You say this though, like he's riding fine.
No, I'm asking why they did that.
What do you mean? Because it improved the starting position on your offense.
Because they went to the guy to create the offense and passing game through AJ, not Devontae.
Well, AJ's a better player.
Okay. In consecutive years, you used the 10th pick and the 17th pick to do that.
All right. So again,
in consecutive years. Name me. That would be like the
Let's
Giants.
Bring it home. Wait.
That would be like the Giants doing this. Hey, Malik, you're really good, and I'm going to get that McMullen kid or whatever.
Oh, yeah, because that Giants receiving core is certainly something to strive for.
But
the way the New York Giants have built that squad.
The Giants are trying to build the passing game through Malik Neighbors.
I don't know. Why did the Lions have Amon-Ra St. Brown and they drafted Jameson Williams?
They got him in the 3rd round.
Jameson Williams? No, they didn't. He was a 1st-round pick.
Amon St. Brown's a 3rd rounder.
Oh, Amon Rice. He is because he's a shrimp. He's like 5'4".
He is. I'm just curious. The 10th pick in the draft.
Let's bring it around town.
No doubt.
I
felt I had to upgrade my wide receiving core the next year. All right.
So the 10th overall pick was a waste, says Dan Sileo.
I never said that.
After 2 Super Bowl appearances, a catch in the Super Bowl, a Super Bowl ring.
I got the 10th pick in the draft, and then the following year I go, hey, you know what? Shit, let's go trade for AJ and run the offensive passing game through him and not him. Oh, okay.
Wait a second.
I find that wild.
The irony in this is just superb. Sileo literally brought up the New York Football Giants as an example of the alternative.
Because the Giants are trying to build the passing game through Malik Neighbors.
That shows you
and that's exactly what the Eagles are trying to do. They were trying to
that they made the right decision.
They were trying to build the passing game when they initially drafted him 10th overall. When they saw that wasn't going to cut it, The next year, they traded for AJ.
They went to the playoffs, Devontae's first year. He had 1,000 yards.
Okay, he got destroyed. And the guy went, I need a playmaker out there.
So they built the roster better.
Okay, they demoted the fucking guy to the second option.
Who gives a shit? They improved the team.
Okay, that's the point. The guy was not initially the 10th pick. I've never seen a team draft a guy with a top 10 pick, go back into the draft the next year, and get another guy because they weren't completely happy with the guy they drafted at 10.
So what are you saying?
I'm saying I don't. Hey, man. Yeah.
What is the take? Don't
Number
sit on
two.
the fence. What is the take, Mr. Sileo?
Take is this. I mean, once again, Devontae Smith, he's expendable.
What is the take? Is that it?
He's expendable.
BS.
Dude,
BS.
what wide receiver could you ill afford to lose, AJ or Devontae?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Well, obviously, AJ's the better player. That's been established. I mean, obviously, that's the bigger drop-off if you lose AJ Brown.
Now, wait, let me finish this up, though, with you.
No, my problem is just the complacency mindset that you're having. Sileo, you know what I love you? You know why I love you, Sileo? Because you want greatness. You look at your wide receiver one and you say, he's good, but we can get better. Let me pursue that greatness.
Here's one thing that I will say to you, okay, that for me, there's one thing I could say. I didn't think AJ would be this good.
Nobody did. One of John's worst takes of this offseason has been.
Do you think they initially, when they traded for AJ, that they thought that Devontae was going to be the one and that guy just turned out to be because he shocked me. I did not think he was that good.
Nobody thought he was that good. We thought he was good, but to sit here and act like he was a top 10 wide receiver in the NFL, let alone top 5, is insane.
No way.
That was John. Like John's like, we talked about this on Birds 365 a little bit ago, and John's like, oh, to make the statement that AJ wasn't a great receiver, he had X amount of yards his first couple of years. I'm like, John, he was nowhere close to being talked about like he is now when he was in Tennessee. Not even in the same ballpark. People across the league are talking about him as a top 5 receiver now. He put on an Eagles jersey for that to happen. Not before that. I mean, come on. I still can't get over your complacency mindset.
Complacency?
Yeah, you get one receiver. Why do you need another one?
No. I was like wondering why you would draft a guy in the first round, and the next year you go, I need to upgrade. It's all right. And you move the guy to 2. Hey, sometimes shit happens. I get it, Junior. Hey, it's what happens, man. It's the difference between Big Sills and Harry Mays. Fucking
that's like comparing an NFL player to a little league to a corner.
Hey, let's get to some of these. Let's get to some of these super chats.
Yeah, we got Jason Cole coming up.
Yep, I'll ask him about the AB stuff.
Rich, what up, Rich? He says, Sills, kick your red slippers together and wish to go back in time and take all that Smitty crap back. Worst take.
Yeah,
agreed. Really,
right.
really.
So he used the 10th pick in the draft, and now he's out there as a second option. I got it. It's all good.
Wait, this is actually your worst take in 5 years on JAKIB.
This is one of the greatest because this is exactly what you did. You drafted a guy, a lottery pick in the 10th pick. Then the next year you went and got a better player.
What an atrocious take.
What a spectacular on-the-nut take.
Ben Dover. AJ Brown, number 1.
That's been my friend over, but go ahead.
Smitty, number 17, ranked 24. End this now.
AJ 1, Smitty, number 17. He ain't 17. He's top 13. He's somewhere in there.
He's top 10.
I think Smitty's in the 13s. Like
he's top 10.
Around that.
He's top 10.
He's top. Who are you taking him? Oh, yeah, I forgot. A number.
He's the number 2 on a run-happy offense, and he's still putting up 1,000 yards.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Put him in any other offense in the league, and the guy's getting 1,500 yards.
That guy is not a top 10 wideout.
Oh, my gosh. Yes, he is.
Okay.
Dank Bird Gang says, Sileo, you're so damn dense. Smith had 96 receptions in 22 with AJ on the other team, which was the record I was talking about, dummy.
Congratulations. And then the next year they went and traded for AJ.
No. That was the year they traded for AJ with AJ.
Yeah, and AJ had what, 1,500 yards?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sounds
And
like
who
a
was the
pretty
number
good-
one option? Who was the
sounds like
number
a-
one? Hey, Dingleberry gang. You tell me. I mean, who was the number one option on that 22 team? It wasn't that guy over there had a goose egg in the Detroit game.
Call them the Super Bowl duo, everybody. Two Super Bowl appearances with this duo.
Dingleberry gang. That ain't a good take. Go ahead.
Chris Scott checking in. D. Smith was drafted to be the number one wide receiver, but Howie saw an opportunity to get A.J. Brown, and he did. He wanted to have a high-powered offense. Because he pursues greatness, Chris. Unlike Sileo, who wants you to be stuck in quicksand.
Hey, absolutely. When I see a mistake, I move off of Jalen Reagor, and I go get A.J., and I move Smitty to 2. What a fucking home run take.
Kyle Kokorski says, Jordan Davis, a.k.a. Private Pile, has just one job to do, stay in shape. How hard is that?
He called him Gomer Pyle. Come on, Kyle.
This dude, Kyle Kokorski's drinking a milkshake, eating a bag of Funyuns on his fucking couch, talking about Jordan Davis. Yo, Kyle, sit down and shut the fuck up.
Hey, Kyle, you make sure you have a tremendous weekend, man. You're one of my favorite people.
Kyle's on his 14th bag of Funyuns of the week.
Fun. That's funny as shit, man. What do we got here?
Let's see if we got some more. Dank, again. Trotter Jr. reminds me of a smaller version of Edwards. Yeah, that's a great comp.
Yeah, that's a great comp. You know what, though? Hey, Dank, that's a great take. So you're back to Dank. So I'll say this to you. I think he's probably going to be a little bit better in pursuit, too. I do.
I still can't get over that. I still can't get over Kyle Kokorski. Kyle, I can smell you from here, dude. Kyle, I can smell your stench from here. Get in the shower, Kyle. Kimberly says, my dad is my hero. Happy Father's Day, my peeps. That's a great take. That's a great comment.
Very good.
Happy Father's Day to you, Sileo. I know you're a father of a beautiful daughter.
Hey, you make sure you tell your pop that, too.
I will. Absolutely. Flag on the play. That's not a bucket hat. That's true. Shit, man. Yo, Prince, I might need to start a super chat fund for the bucket hats, man. They're like 80 a pop, dog. I'm like tapped out. I haven't bought a new one in a minute, bro.
Shit, Prince. Seriously, I guarantee you, Prince is a guy that sits in a shitter watching this show. And he sits around just doing this shit.
Don't start attacking Prince because you had one of the worst Fridays
Prince,
of your life.
I had one of the absolute grand. Hey, no, this sounds normal. I'm going to draft a guy 10th overall. Then the next year, I'm going to go get a better player.
And I'm going to go to 2 Super Bowls and win one of them and win the NFC twice and have top 10 offenses every single year. Yep.
I needed a better guy. AJ's been a better player.
By the way, who's the face of the NFL right now? It's the Philadelphia Eagles.
It's Barkley.
Yeah, well, Barkley's who on the Eagles?
Okay.
Senor, who has had a better NFL career, Tua or Hurts? Hurts, and it is not close.
How do you think Nick Saban feels about it today? You know what I said it the other day.
Decision in the moment.
Okay, so that means that he didn't want to go through and coach him.
Well, no, that's not. I honestly, and I don't believe that. I really don't. I believe that Nick Saban. I truly believe it. I believe Nick Saban knew going into that game that Georgia's defense was so good, there was a chance the only way to beat them was to move the ball through the air. Jalen Hurts had like 20 passing yards in the first half, and he made a decision in the moment to put his backup in to move the ball in the second half. They won the national championship. Tua had 3 touchdown passes in the second half, an overtime touchdown pass to Devontae Smith. And
Hurts never had a shot to win the job back.
Well, he did stay there. They did battle through camp. And remember what happened. Remember what happened there, Sileo, though. I'll say this. Jalen Hurts marked the turning point of when Nick Saban, remember how Saban used to win, right? He had Jake Coker. He had Blake Sims. He had AJ McCarron. It was always running in defense.
Yeah.
And Hurts was kind of the bridge quarterback to when he stepped into having high-powered passing offenses. Then you had Bryce Young. You had Mac Jones, who obviously threw Devontae Smith into a Heisman Trophy. So I don't think he views it in a negative way. I think a college
remember,
coach is doing things differently.
You had how many guys that were first-round draft choices in your room at one time? You had Young. You had, I don't know if Hurts was there, and you had Mack, and you had another guy that was in there. And the difference in college, Zander, I don't have to sit and develop a guy. I'll just put the next best guy in. In the NFL, you don't have a room like that because you're paying people.
Yeah, it's true. Here we go. Rashid says, AJ is not a better player than Antonio, but AJ is better than Evans unless you're comparing 11 years to 6. Rashid, I agree. Antonio was insane, but I think AJ is better than Mike Evans. Mike Evans was never a top 3 receiver in football.
We'll see what kind of career he has at the end. Right now, he's not a Hall of Famer. So
He's
it's hard for me. He's not close. I'll ask a Hall of Fame voter here in about 6 minutes.
Kyle Kokorski. Hurts going to pass for 2,000 yards.
Hey, if that's the case, Barkley went for 3.
This dude Kokorski. Kokorski, your head is so far up your ass, you can't tell your ass from your ball sack. Come on, man.
Hey, Kyle, are you suggesting that he's going to throw for $2,000 and 12 TD passes? How you doing? Oh, my God, that would be insane. He's not going to throw for $2,000 unless he gets hurt, which I'm hoping not.
What, $2,000 before the bye week? Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, $2,000 before the bye week. He's lucky if he'll have 200 before the bye week.
Shut up, offense. Super Bowl MVP of the year. Could you imagine AJ with Burrow? Don't hate me. No, I think that's fair. I think that's correct. AJ with Burrow
would have 1,800 yards every year.
2,000. AJ with Burrow would be. Sileo would never bring up the shitty topics he had today ever in his life.
Here's Dallas. Ready? Hurts has 140 yards. Let's see, 145 yards. Dallas. KC probably has 200 yards. Ramsey has probably another 90. And the Bucks, he has probably 115. So let's see, he may not even have 500 yards by the time he gets to the Bucks game.
Oh man. Here we
go. How many Goose Egg games will Devontae have as a number
Lamar
one?
Davis. Lamar's been red hot recently. He says, Sills, are you high? Respect the 6. Sileo might be high. I don't know. He had like sniffles. Maybe he hit the weed store in Cali.
I probably hit this thing too much because I put too much vapor up my nose.
Yeah,
so it gives me like a funny feeling that makes my toes wiggle.
Yeah, I think it's coming through.
Yeah, I don't know.
Here's Nate. Nate says, Sills did crack this morning. Saying Smitty is waste is crazy.
Here's my crack. It's my vapor shit here, man. You take this. Look at this. I'm not even supposed to be. My wife told me it was a roll-on. So I've been like digging in this shit and sticking it up my nose. And I don't know, so maybe I am running a little hot. That was a hot take, though.
Stephen Mosteller. Lamb going to have to wish Ringo a happy Father's Day. Wait, I heard Sileo has to wish Twiz a happy Father's Day, too.
Who's Twiz?
And Prince. Prince is your daddy, Sileo.
Hey, Prince? Are you kidding me? Prince hasn't had a good take since February 9th.
I'll say this, though. Since John ducked your show, John, you better text Sileo happy Father's Day on Sunday.
Yeah, make sure Bob don't see you do it, though. Man. Hey, man, I'll tell you what. Would you put Antonio Brown in the Hall of Fame?
I think he's a Hall of Fame worthy talent.
Would you give him a jacket in jail?
He was a 6th rounder, wasn't he?
Yep.
Holy shit.
Dude, I don't know what it is with the Steelers. That Pickett's kid was a 2, right?
Yeah, 2.
Yeah, he was a 2. Shit, Hines Ward wasn't a 1st rounder.
Sills with the pignorance. What does that mean?
God knows, man. Just another funky word. Okay? Fugazi. Hey, Rich.
Abe, what's up, Abe? Member for 10 months. Thank you, bro. I love you, Abe. Yeah. AJ became available to be traded for and how we made the move. Don't hate the player, hate the game. The rest of the NFL slept on the best wide receiver in the league. Smitty would be wide receiver 1 on any team. Correct.
Yeah, well, I know he would be, but not on the Philadelphia Eagles, and that's why the following year they traded the first round pick for a guy who was better, and they made him the backup. Yeah,
Prince. Here's Prince. Not to be confused with Sileo's father. They were ahead of the curve. Why is every team trying to get 2 number 1 wide receivers? Now Sills, come on. Terrible take, dense guy.
What team is trying to get 2 1s?
What do you mean the Bengals just depleted their defense? Who? The Bengals just depleted. They can't even sign their rookie because
how many teams are built like the KC Chiefs aren't, the Bills aren't, the Ravens aren't. Nobody's doing that shit. Not doing 2 number 1s.
What about the commies?
The commies have 2 number 1s.
Boy, let me tell you something I was thinking
about. Deebo Samuel wasn't a first round pick. He was a 2.
Let me tell you something I've been thinking about today. Let me replug in my mic. But let me tell you something I've been thinking about today. Mike, got me on my mic?
Yeah, I got you, brother.
All right. This is something I've been thinking of today. My take on the Washington Commanders is going to be spot on this year. They will regress. They will get second or third in the NFC East. Jaden Daniels will regress slightly. Deebo Samuel will suck. Terry McLaurin will prove to be overrated and not worth the money. And they will not be as good.
And the Eagles will excel even with a new coordinator and all the new faces on defense, correct?
Eagles will be the best team in the NFC.
Okay. Hold on.
Here's Kokorski again. Kyle, I hope you can redeem
these
yourself.
Fuckers are green, but go ahead.
Kyle, I hope you can redeem yourself, man. You're running out of time. This is becoming embarrassing.
Kyle, you are now the new superhero here.
Princess's takes are Howie drafting defense. Another shit take by Kyle.
Hey, Kyle. Remember this, Kyle. Sidney Brown, Kobe Dean, and who else here? What other third? Tyler Steen. Let's see how this guy's going to be a drafter if those guys don't win jobs.
What are you talking about?
If those guys don't win jobs, those were 3 third-round picks that failed.
4 of our 5 offensive linemen weren't taken in the first round either. 2 seconds, a third.
Those third-round picks do not pan out. What are you doing?
Mike Evans is tied with Jerry Rice Sills with 11 1,000-yard seasons.
He's a longevity guy. He's a great
steady
player.
Eddie, baby. Steady Eddie.
Yep, absolutely.
Prince, Kyle, you an old man out here blowing hot air at another old man. Chill out, Diddy. Go sit in the corner and watch Sills.
Prince, you know what you remind me of, Prince? You remind me of a sad day.
Oh, come on. That's a great take. Come on, man. That's a Football Friday banger right there.
You are like a sad bidet. That's what you are, dog.
No, man. All right, Sills.
I can't wait. Hey, man. By the way, let's do one more here. Then we're going to get Jason Cole.
Oh, here we go. Fly Eagle says, teams are trying to get 2 number 1 wide receivers because Quinion can't cover 2 wide receivers at the same time, and they're going to throw at Ringo.
Mm-hmm. Right. That's what everybody's doing.
That's a little legal optimism there, but.
Trying to get 2 number 1s. Now, what they're trying to get is a number 1 quarterback. If you have a number 1 quarterback, you're not trying to get 2 1s. Okay? All them guys that are top quarterbacks.
Yeah, they're not winning. Outside of Mahomes.
2 number 1s.
But outside of winning, none of them are like outside of Mahomes, none of them are really winning, recently.
They've got to do better as an organization for sure.
Yeah. So the Bills, the Ravens, teams that you brought up need to do better at building their team.
Absolutely.
Maybe take a page out of the Eagles' book.
Yeah, they need to do a better job at building a team around a guy, that doesn't have to be, as John McMullen says, a lead every day.
All right, Sileo. I'm done with you today. All right, brother. Thank you, man. I'll catch you. Have a great Father's Day, man. Happy Father's Day to you. You're an awesome father. I know because your daughter loves you very much, and it's very evident. So awesome job by you, and happy Father's Day, man.
Thank you, dude, very much.
Absolutely, bro. Everybody have a great weekend. Thank you all.
Very cool. Thank you very much. I told John Morgan this. Honestly, I probably haven't told you guys this. I have a couple rules that I live by. I'm a man of faith, God. I've got to be a great dad. I've got to be a good husband. I try my hardest at that. And I live to make sure that I strive to being great at everything I do. Those are the things that I do, and that I try every day. And I don't succeed every day, obviously, but I try to do that every single day. I mean, my testament's my kid and how I'm perceived by others sometimes. You know, my business makes it hard because people go, that Sileo guy. And that's why when you get a guy like Jason Cole in here, who I've known for over 30 years, okay, and he and I go back a long way. Now, I'm going to say something. I want to set this up with Jason here. I talked this morning, and I was talking with Mike Evans, and they were talking about Jerry Rice. Jerry Rice is the greatest offensive weapon I have ever seen in pro football, not quarterback. He is no guy touched the ball 4 times a game, had 200 touchdowns, over 20,000 reception yardage, counting postseason. There's nobody near him, okay? And he and Mike Evans, they were sharing, they have a record now, 11 straight years. And I hate this story that I'm going to say to Jason. Antonio Brown, it could only have ended one way, or 2 ways, prison or in the morgue. There was no way this was not, and I said this 3 years ago. I knew it. You know who the last guy that grabbed Antonio Brown at the Meadowlands? It was Mike Evans. You know what he said to him? Mike told me this. Please don't do this. Please don't do this. He knew right there that it was over at that moment. Tom Brady, they all wanted, when he got back to Tampa, they all wanted to give him like psychiatric help. Even the Bucks, Todd Bowles told me that. They went to his house. F you this, F you that. Jason Cole's going to have to make a tough decision on this guy because I'm going to put this out there to him. Antonio Brown's a Hall of Fame player. Got a Super Bowl ring. Bucks don't win the Super Bowl in 2020 without him. Ask anybody. Look at that room. Gronkowski, Evans, Godwin, and Tom Brady. One of the best passing offenses and talent in NFL history. Jason Cole going to give a gold jacket to a guy in jail, potentially. He's just been charged with murder. How does Jason get around that? Let's bring my friend, Hall of Fame voter Jason Cole in. Got a fabulous book out. We'll get to that here in a minute. Jace, this Antonio Brown story, I would imagine for you, it probably is heading down the path that you thought it was going to head down.
I've always thought that Antonio Brown is the ultimate example of the thing that can make you great is the thing that can also undermine you in the long run. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Like the mania with which you work to overcome and the story you keep telling yourself over and over again, which is that people don't believe in you, they downgrade you, they don't give you respect, they don't think you're worth crap, you know, like that kind of stuff. All that stuff that you have to fight through, you know, you use as fuel to work out and work hard and achieve. The longer you keep telling yourself, that becomes your reality. And you think that everybody hates you or downgrades you all the time for your entire life. And so it's sort of like in Goodfellas. This is what Tommy becomes, right? So Antonio Brown's an example of Tommy. And I know Tommy's a fictional character, but Tommy, you know, goes from sort of a, you know, being a tough guy and, you know, trying to overachieve and all that to being a lunatic because he thinks that he has to keep proving himself over and over and over again. Antonio Brown has become a lunatic because he thinks he has to prove himself over and over and over again. And he's treated people like crap throughout his life. You know, he's treated his team like crap. He was a great player. And yeah, probably a Hall of Fame worthy player. But if this is true,
I mean,
yeah, I can look, there are other guys I can vote for a while.
How about this, Jace? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 Pro Bowls. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. First team All Pros. Super Bowl ring. Look at these insane numbers
He's
here.
a Hall of Fame. Like, from credential standpoint, he's a Hall of Fame player. Maybe not a first ballot guy, you know. I mean,
Because of the implosion.
it's pretty damn close. No, it's just, you know, yeah, because the implosion's part of it. Plus, like, sometimes you look at the numbers and you understand they're inflated a bit by the era, and you can discount it a little bit that way. But I'll just say this: there was a time and place where Antonio Brown would have been one of the top 1 or 2 guys I would want to build my passing game around. You know, after I picked out a quarterback, he would be right up there. You know, for a good long stretch of time, probably a 3, 4, 5 year period where I'd say this guy can't be covered. And here's the other thing: his second year in the league, in that playoff game against the Jets, when they had to beat the Jets in Pittsburgh on that crucial 3rd and 6th play.
That. Yep.
Who was Ben Roethlisberger looking for?
Yeah.
He was looking at Antonio Brown going, that guy's going to get open on one of the biggest plays of the entire game. That, you know, needing a first down desperately. And Roethlisberger looked for Antonio Brown. That told me a lot about Antonio Brown's career and what he was and what he was going to become. Now, it didn't tell me it didn't tell me all the stats, but it told me this is a very impressive player for a quarterback to trust a guy who's that young. And he trusted him. He made it work. He made big plays. They won Super Bowls. Great player. But if you're up on attempted murder charges, yeah, I can hit the pause button for a year or 2.
How about this? I don't know how you do this, because it's a moralistic thing, and you're right. You know, no, Jace, when I look at him, I don't know how you put other players in over him. I mean, you know, there's not a morals code in the Hall of Fame in Canton. You know, I guess there is in baseball. I don't know. But for me, I'm not. Hey, look, OJ came up today. I'm not voting for that dude. Now, I get what the player was. It was before all that happened.
Forget about all the clauses and the this and the that. You have to say to yourself, because I went through this with Jim Tyrer this last year, right?
KC, really great player.
Yeah, a great offensive tackle for the Kansas City Chiefs. Can I vote for a guy who murdered his wife?
No, I
can't. I just can't. I can't do that. And you know, some people disagree. They can look past it. Some people can make excuses. Some people can say, "Oh, it's CTE. It's this. It's that." You know, there's not enough excuses in the world for that kind of behavior. It's just, you know, like there's a, you know, we're not talking about stealing money. We're not talking about, you know, okay, got into a bar fight, you know, or got arrested trying to sell drugs,
right.
Or, you know, did something, you know, like, okay, morally questionable, ethically questionable.
Yeah.
All right. We're talking about, like, you were trying to kill somebody.
Yes.
You were trying to forfeit somebody's life. And, you know, sorry, you forfeit a lot of things that go with your life when you act like that. And one of them
ever gets in? Do you think he ever gets in?
Yeah, I think so. He probably does. I mean, I don't know. We'll see about the charges. We'll see how legit the charges are, and, you know, what it is. But I will always just say this: your opening point of you knew where this was going to end up,
yeah,
has come true. It may even get worse for him if he gets off on this one, somehow doesn't get prosecuted for this. You know, it's only going to get worse. It's not going to get better, because every time he gets away with something, it just means in his mind he can do more.
Well, let me ask you this then. How did you come around with the conclusion that you were going to put Ray Lewis in?
Because I don't know exactly what happened there. I know Ray lied, but I don't think that Ray actually killed anybody.
No.
Okay.
He was there, though.
He was there. And I do think that he had a human reaction of, I want to cover this up and protect myself, because he didn't trust, he didn't trust the cops, and he paid for that. But I don't think he killed somebody.
No.
The other thing about that is, I think that was a street fight where the guys who got killed, and I'm not saying they deserved to die.
No.
But they did put themselves in harm's way by getting into a street fight, and breaking a bottle over somebody's head. There's a lot of things that happen in that that ends up in a bad place. But I don't think Ray was responsible for that.
He wasn't.
I think Ray was part of a cover-up, and that I absolutely do believe. But I don't think that he was the person who killed anybody.
I'll tell you this, okay? And I mentioned this the other day, and I won't go too deep into it, but the NFL security commandeered my phone because I had some pictures from inside the limo. And I was like, Ray asked me what I was going to say. And I asked him, he goes, I was just so afraid of what everyone was going to say about me inside, the car that,
Yeah.
And I said this, I go, dude, you need to freaking get around better human beings than you have right now. And if you notice, from that day on, he was never around the old gang. He never was around that type of culture any longer, because he had a bunch of guys around him. We all told him. Edgerrin James told him. I know Clinton Portis had told him a million times. Michael Irvin had begged him that, dude, the guys that you have from down in Central Florida, those guys are going to drag you into a gutter. And that party in Atlanta, they did. And we're all like, what are you, nuts? You have
It's
so
the same
much
thing as
room.
it was the same thing as Michael Vick. Exact same thing as Michael Vick. Michael Vick kept a bunch of his dudes from, back in Virginia Beach or Newport News, wherever he's from, around him. And it was hard for him to say goodbye to those guys. I'm sure it was hard for Ray, because those are the guys who defended you and protected you when you were younger. Like in Michael Vick's case, those guys, the guys that he was protecting were guys who had literally saved his life from getting killed when he was in high school. So, they felt a debt. And they couldn't get those guys out of their lives. So I get it. I understand it. But again, you have to put some distance, or that stuff's going to destroy you. Either the people who are in your lives or the mental state. And in Antonio Brown's case, it's more about him, but he's the guy who, you run into guys like that, guys who were former alignment, right? And they, they think that they have to prove that they're the toughest guy out there. And that was the way that they got through life, by proving that they were the toughest guy out there, the biggest, meanest, strongest, and this is how they conducted their lives. And they were never able to let go of that and say, that's, I use that for football, but I can't do that out here in the normal world. They couldn't separate it, and you end up with disaster when that happens.
I will tell people the transition to the NFL, the transition from the NFL is the most difficult transition than even getting in the league, because you leave an environment that has nothing to do with reality of life. My wife said to me, Jace, you're going to love this. So when I left, and all of a sudden, finances weren't coming in, and I became some guard guy when I was doing, I was over at Hewlett Packard, and they gave me this really nice job. And there I was sitting in this booth. My wife looked at me and she goes, and then I got back in the NFL. I went to the Lions and all that. My wife looked at me. She goes, boy, that must be humbling. I was like, it ain't the world, dude. And then you realize you're in the real world. Hey, that stuff, you live like that. You're up there, you're over here. The air's different. And then when you come down with everybody else and you're breathing the same air, you got
you're working a 9 to 5, and you're punching a clock, and all of a sudden there's expectations of how are you going to, get to the numbers that you need to get to survive, and all that other stuff. Oh, that's a tough one for a lot of guys. But that's in addition to the culture of playing football tasks you with, doing things that are way beyond normal limitations, physical limitations. And the
Mental.
way that guys and the way that guys get to that state of mind is not normal. And the way that they maintain that, it doesn't work in the real world. And it destroys guys. And for Antonio Brown, bring this full circle to what you're talking about, the thing that made Antonio Brown great is ultimately the thing that has destroyed him, in my view.
Absolutely true. Absolutely. As I said, I was talking to Mike Evans this morning, and I got asked the question by Rick Stroud. Do I think that he's a first ballot? 11 consecutive years of 1,000 yards. I mean, he's got 7 Pro Bowls. He is tied with Jerry Rice. Jerry Rice and him were sitting around Bucks camp. They were, going back and forth. There's a great respect. Jerry Rice doesn't like his records broke. I don't care what anybody says. Rice has so many of them that he's such a prideful guy. It's not that he's wishing you not to. It's that he set such a standard, as you know, at that position. There's very few guys in the league that have ever set a standard like that. And I was wondering, for you, when you look at Mike Evans, is that a first ballot Hall of Famer?
Could be. Depends on the year. But I'll say what's going to make it harder and harder is that the ballot system, the way it exists right now, is going to make it harder and harder for guys to get in on the first ballot. It's going to make it harder and harder for guys to get in, period. I think we're going to be lucky.
Is that by design?
Yes, it's by design. It's by design of the Pro Football Hall of Fame, because there's a lot of current Hall of Famers who think that there are too many guys getting in. Now, I think that's an overreaction to the class that we had 3 or 4 years ago, where we had 20 guys get in, a bunch of old timers, things like that. Guys who I thought were questionable as well. I think it's a reaction to the number of senior candidates who are sort of getting rubber stamped and put in and put up for election. I don't think it applies. I don't think it applies to the modern era candidates. I think we have a hard time. We have some really deserving guys who should get in, who are going to get pushed back a lot. I don't know that. Who's the safety that from the Eagles, who just got in a couple of years ago?
Eric Allen.
No, not Eric Allen. The safety.
Dawkins.
Yeah, Dawkins. In this system, I don't know that Dawkins gets in.
Wow.
I don't think John Lynch gets in. I'm not sure Zach Thomas gets in.
Jason Taylor, too, guys like that.
No, Jason Taylor would have gotten in. He's got enough big plays, and he was a first ballot guy.
Roy Butler doesn't get in.
Yeah, I think definitely Brian Dawkins and John Lynch, and maybe Zach Thomas. Sam Mills wouldn't have gotten in.
Why is it? Because of the position?
Well, no, it's because of the way. What they've done is they used to take it and we'd go from 15 guys to 10 guys,
right, and
then 10 to 5. And then it was simple yes or no. What they've done is they've gone from 15 to 10, but then you go from 10 to 7. And so it's a final 7. And if you're going to make it among the final 7, you have to get named on 80% of the ballots. And I could take you through the math of it.
Like the Baseball Hall of Fame, where you have to get above 80%?
Yeah, exactly. Right. And so what happens, and they changed it this last year, it's not the voters didn't do it, the Hall did it, and the Hall did it in reaction to what a lot of the current Hall of Famers are telling them and saying them and how they're reacting to it, which I think has flaws in itself, because every Hall of Famer thinks he's way better than the guys who aren't in, right? That's just the nature of the beast. Whatever, that's just human reaction. I'm an exclusive club. We want to keep the club smaller, right? But be that as it may, in the old days when it got down to 5 and it was like a simple, yes or no, 80% or not, they all got in. It was easy. Okay. There'd be an exception here once in a while, right? One of those final 5 guys might not get in. When it's 7, it's hard, because think of there's 50 voters, 50 voters get to go vote for 5 guys, right? So just do this math for a second. If 50 guys each get 5 votes, that's 250 votes. If one of those guys is a slam dunk no-brainer, he has to get in, kind of guy like a Peyton Manning, that guy's going to get 50 votes.
Yeah.
Right? That means there's only 200 votes left for the remaining 6 guys.
No way.
Right. Well, that's what it is. But that's literally how the,
so
that's
could
literally
you see
how
a
the
class,
math works.
Jace, could you see a class where you see only 1 or 2 guys go in?
No, they'll put in at least 3 every year.
Okay.
They said they're going to put in at least 3, but the days of putting in 5 modern era guys are almost over.
Wow. I don't think many people know this because
No, but it's existed and people have talked about it. And again, if you do the math, it's hard. And it's also why the senior candidates and the contributors candidates are even harder to get guys in because of the math that they put on that guy. Like we had Holmgren on the ballot last year. He didn't get in. Holmgren deserves to be in.
How are you going to put Holmgren over Belichick? He's eligible this year.
Right, but here's the thing. You got Holmgren, you got Belichick, you got Shanahan, you got Tom Coughlin, who deserves a discussion, right? To me, Shanahan, Holmgren, and Belichick are no-brainers.
No-brainers.
But if you hold up Holmgren for a year, that means you've got to hold up. You may have to hold him up again for another year, especially if Belichick gets past him, right?
Yeah.
It gets tougher and tougher and tougher. And that's what I'm trying to tell you. This is where this new system is really, I question it. We just had a meeting a couple of weeks ago, and I questioned this, saying, I think these numbers are not really going to get you where you need to be, because I think the problem is not with the modern era guys. The problem is with, we put in too many of the senior guys in the past, and that's where guys are looking back on, and I hate to say it, but I don't think Harold Carmichael's a Hall of Famer. Now, people in Philly would disagree with me. There's a fair number, but I watched Harold Carmichael when I was a kid, and he was a very good player. He was very good. I don't think he was a Hall of Famer. Drew Pearson, I didn't think he was a Hall of Fame guy.
I didn't either.
We put him in. Chuck Howley. We put Chuck Howley in the Hall of Fame.
I didn't think he was a Hall of Famer.
We put him in. So we put in those kinds of guys recently. And those guys are the questionable ones. The ones who are not questionable to me are the modern day guys getting 5 in per year. But they've changed the system. They've made it harder. And it's going to be hard to get more than 3 or 4 guys in a given year.
That's why. A couple last ones here for you, Jace. I think, Jace, this is such a great conversation because, Philly had such a great year last year. And I brought this up, and people disagree with me on it. But I look at A.J. Brown, and I'm like, that guy's got no shot getting into the Hall of Fame based on 1 Super Bowl, based on a couple good years in Philly, versus a guy like Mike Evans, who's 11 years in a row. Look at Reggie Wayne, who was a number 2, had over 1,000 catches and 14,000 yards. That guy's on his 3rd ballot now. The chances of him being on a 5th ballot are high that he's not going to get into a Hall of Fame. How does a guy like A.J. Brown even get into a conversation with that when you turn around and you go, dude, how are you putting him in over Antonio Brown when Antonio Brown was a way better player?
Well, and let's talk about, we still got Torrey Holt and Reggie Wayne.
I'm not putting A.J. Brown in the Hall of Fame.
How about Steve,
more time left.
Steve Smith Sr., okay? Don't know if he's Hall of Fame or not. I think he should be. I think he's one of the toughest to ever play that position. I think he did it right. I love Steve Smith Sr.
Great player.
Great player. I think he deserves to be a Hall of Famer. I don't know that he's ever going to get in. And I think he's better than A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown, and I think A.J. Brown's terrific, and he might get there someday. He might be, he might put up those kinds of numbers. He ain't there yet. Not by a long shot, and he's not up against, we've named 5 or 6 guys right off the top of our head.
Yeah, I don't see that.
I mean, again, Evans, Steve Smith, Antonio Brown, Torrey Holt, Reggie Wayne.
I mean, how you
Right
going
there,
past
that's 5
those
guys.
Yeah, how
What?
are you getting past them guys? I don't.
I don't know. Hines, we haven't even brought up a guy like Hines Ward, who I don't think Hines Ward's a Hall of Famer, but he's damn close. And if he
Yeah.
got in, I wouldn't sit there and say that's a bad pick. I just think, I don't see a Hall of Famer with him. I see close, but I don't see a Hall of Fame.
I mean, DeAndre Hopkins has got great numbers. He's a 13,000 guy. I mean, those are guys that are going to have these gigantic resumes, and it also.
Hey, give me 5 seconds for something because my battery's going to run out.
Okay.
So hold it. Give me 5. Keep talking for 5 seconds.
All right. And hey, folks, and I know you got to remember something with Jason here. Jason's talking to you guys about a process. Okay, it's not that these guys are not Hall of Fame players. That's what he's trying to tell you. They've now have all of a sudden made it harder because there were too many guys. And I always thought that there were too many guys that were going in. Jason would send me a list of guys to take a look at. Like he would send these guys to me and I'd look down and I go, these are guys that are being considered. Like I was with Jason and I said it, Sam Mills, man, he was really good. But I always thought Vaughn Johnson was better on that Saints team. I thought Pat Swilling was better.
I'm not arguing with you, and people have these opinions, and that's the beauty of the whole process. But the recent change has made it so that it's harder to get in. And look, I don't have a problem with a smaller Hall of Fame. What I do have a problem with a little bit is the consistency that we've had over the last 10 years since I was there, saying, these are guys who qualified, at least among the modern era. I have always had a problem with the senior candidates. I thought it was the senior candidates should be really rare. And what they did a couple of years ago in 2020, and they put them in 2021 because of the COVID year, so they had to delay them. They brought in 20 new guys. And again, that was the Harold Carmichael year where they just kind of stuffed in a bunch of guys that were like, oh, we've just got a backlog of guys. And backlog of guys who deserve to get in. I was
that was Tagliapue year.
I was like, we don't have a backlog of guys.
No.
They didn't get in because they didn't get in. Like they didn't get in because they weren't quite good enough. Joe Jacoby is a terrific football player.
Phenomenal. Hog.
Defined that. Did some amazing things in his career. Had to block LT, not alone. But had to block LT, right? Had to, and they won 3 championships. I mean, that's a distinguished career.
Absolutely.
Not Hall of Fame. Just not quite good enough. I'm sorry, not quite good enough.
I completely agree with you. All right, I want to throw this at you here, Jace. We had a debate last week, and people wanted me in Philadelphia to ask you this. When you look at a guy like Saquon Barkley that has a spectacular year, like Chris, what was that kid's name? Chris Johnson, the guy with Tennessee, had over $1,000, or Jamal Lewis had $2,000. When you look at a guy like Barkley, who was in New York, and you can now see that New York never really built a team around him.
Right.
Do you ever, as a voter, look at it and go, well, the Giant years were very underwhelming. He goes to Philly, and all of a sudden you see that Hall of Fame career or Hall of Fame talent on display more.
Yeah.
And do you have a different metric for every guy that you look at? And do you look at a guy like Barkley and go, well, hell, man, if he rushes the ball and he goes north of 1,700 yards 3 years in a row, 4 years in a row, and he gets around $10,000, which is not enough. You're not even past Fred Taylor, but he has a Super Bowl. In your opinion, how do you look at a guy like a Saquon Barkley who had wasted years, like 5 or 6 years in New York, and yet he goes to a place that has great talent and he just excels around it? How do you look at that guy as a potential Hall of Fame player?
Well, I got to see it for 3 to 4 years.
Because right now he's not.
No, he's not. He's not a Hall of Fame.
I agree.
I think there's talent there to be a Hall of Fame guy.
Can you be a Hall of Fame talent but not have a Hall of Fame resume?
Yeah.
Bo Jackson.
Yeah. LaCharles Bentley.
Right. Oh my God, great player with the Chiefs.
Yeah. No, I'm talking about the center.
Oh, the center. Okay.
LaCharles. Who are you thinking about? The running back.
I can't remember his name. I was thinking. I
know who you're talking about. Andy Reid.
Holmes.
Andy Reid thought was better than Ricky Waters, right? Like, yeah. I mean, there's guys out there who've had Hall of Fame ability. But I kind of look at that. Look, I was looking back as there's a ton of dudes, and it's especially true in basketball. There's a ton of dudes who on the playground who have Hall of Fame ability. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a ton.
You go to Rucker Park. You go to Rucker Park in New York. You could see them there every day.
Right. There's dudes who have ability. They don't have what it takes mentally, right? Like they can do it for a day if they feel good and they want to show up. If they're not, if their old lady ain't on their ass, and like they're got to go get some, got to get the child support done, and all that kind of stuff. And oh man, I got things I got to get done, and all that. And it's like, come on, man. Like, do you have what it takes to fight through all of the distractions? There are tons of dudes with talent, tons of them. Okay. They don't make it. Okay. So yeah. And some of them try really, and some of them are just unlucky. Some of them get hurt. Bo Jackson may be the greatest athlete to ever walk the face of the earth. Right?
I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah. And if you talk to people, like
never. I played against him in college, and I played against him in the pros, and when he was at Auburn, and when he was at the Raiders. And I will tell you, I thought Eric Dickerson in my lifetime, the backs that I played against, I thought Eric Dickerson was the best running back I ever played against. But that dude was better, and that dude was faster. He was bigger. The things you see Barkley do last year, the bow nose, man. I've never seen
Saquon Barkley. There's nothing that Saquon Barkley, or there's nothing that Bo Jackson, that Saquon can do that Bo Jackson couldn't do, and he's like 3 or 4 inches taller and 20 pounds heavier.
He's 250.
He's a freak of nature. Just like I still run the one back from baseball. When he runs up, he makes the catch and he runs up and down the wall, right? He runs, he's in a dead sprint, runs up the wall, runs back down. And it's like, you look and you go, well, that looked easy. And then you think about it for a second. You're like,
yeah, it's an 8-foot wall.
What did he just do? Like,
how about when he would break that bat like that, like in his hands?
Oh, the one he breaks. Yeah, like anybody who thinks that they can break a bat over their leg like that, like try it and say.
He did one like this. He just
broke it. He broke it. Yeah, but I like the one where he just snaps it over his thigh. And I'm like, if you try that at home, like, get ready to go to the hospital because you're going to bruise yourself so badly.
Listen to this, Jason. We were in Oxnard, and this is when the Raiders. Right now, the Cowboys are there, but the Raiders, when they were in LA, they used to practice in Oxnard, as you know.
Yeah.
Well, Bo was there. They had, Marcus Allen was in the building. It was a stupid backfield they had, and Al was there. And Bo comes walking in, and he hadn't worked out. He hadn't warmed up. He hadn't done anything. Guys are in there, offensive lineman with 500 pounds. This guy's got a lunch with him, some salads or whatever, and he sits him down. He goes, let me get a couple reps in. The guy goes, you want us to take the weight? I said, nah, that's all right. So there's 6 plates on each side. Rips out 3 plates, 500 pounds, puts it back, grabs a salad, and walks away. There wasn't a dude in the building, including Don Mosbar, looked over at me and goes, you think that's, we see that every day. This guy will just jump up and start doing 50 pull-ups. This guy will just do all kinds of psychotic things.
The craziest thing I ever read about Bo, and again, I shouldn't say it, the craziest thing is watching him run up a wall and back down. he was waist deep in a swimming pool and jumped out of it.
Like 6 feet of water. Tell folks it's
No,
like
it's probably like
about his waist.
it's like 3.5 feet, 3.5,
Okay.
4. Now just think about that. You jumped out of a pool of water. And you just jumped, like you didn't step out. You jumped out of a pool of water. The leg strength to do that is, I mean, like he's the only human being who I think can make me believe that there are aliens that like that the Men in Black movies are actually nonfiction.
Jace.
Like that's the only that's it. Bo Jackson's the only one who makes me believe no, there's no way that a human being could be like that.
I mean, Jace, I saw this guy like one year. He was an all-star baseball player, and I made the Pro Bowl. And you're like, you'll never see that again. And then he ends up getting hurt in that Cincinnati playoff game. I remember talking to Boomer. Boomer goes, you know what the crime of it is? He's probably the greatest player athlete to ever play baseball. He's probably the greatest athlete to ever play football, and he'll be in neither Hall of Fame.
Oh yeah, absolutely. He'll never be in the Hall of Fame. Greatest athlete of all time. And Deion, I know people are like, oh, Deion played both sports. Yeah, Deion played both sports. There's a big difference between being a corner who doesn't take hits on a regular basis and being a running back who plays like that and being a slap hitter singles guy. And look, I got a lot of respect for Deion as an athlete. He was a terrific baseball player, really terrific. And if he'd stuck with it, he probably would have been maybe even a Hall of Famer.
Yeah,
but he wasn't Bo Jackson.
No way, man. That's the best player athlete I've ever seen. Jace, you have a great weekend, my friend. I love talking football with you so much. And thank you again for the insight. And I thought it was great talking about AB because I'm with you, man. And by the way, we're not rooting for anything here. We're hoping, it's more hope now that
I don't want it to be true. You don't want this to be true.
I don't either. No way.
But you just sit there and go, I can believe it would happen.
Yeah.
So,
I got you. Thanks, Jace.
All right, dude. See it.
Yeah, man. I never in a million years want that to come true, but I said that 3 years ago. I said this thing can only end two ways: prison or morgue. And as you see here, that's why when you guys are sitting there talking to me about AJ Brown making the Hall of Fame, AJ's going to have to put up exceptional numbers by the time he's done. And in a run first offense, that's not going to happen. Jason just laid it out for you. Mike Evans has accumulated a Super Bowl ring and numbers. That's a voter. Get this. Here's this dickhead. You just heard a guy who's one of the 50 men in the room tell you the way it was. And he don't want to hear it. Well, bro, your opinion means dick in this conversation. It means dick. That guy just told you how that process is today. I didn't know that they had made it, that more difficult. By the way, we got some supers to read during Jason's interview, Zander, if we could put them up. Sills, the sad part is I was in a marching band with someone like that, and he's doing 20 years in prison for arson. Man, and you see people and the story. You know where it's going. I can't tell you how many NFL guys that that will not change once they leave. You know how many NFL guys are defined by just playing football? That's it. Like Warren Sapp, that's all he'll be known as a Hall of Fame player. He'll never be known as a good dude. He'll never be known as a guy who other teammates had tremendous respect for, or fans, any interaction you've ever had with him. Guy's an asshole. I don't have any problem saying that. Happy Father's Day, Dad. Rip. Love you, man. And all the love to the fathers in JAKIB Nation. You too. Seals, you seem like a great pops, old man. I try my hardest. I'll tell you this, Jack. There's no such thing as having a blueprint on how to be a dad. I mean, I learn that shit every day. Every day. And I tried my hardest. I'll tell you this. Anybody who's a good dad doesn't sleep well at night. Right, Joe Krause? Anybody who's a good dad doesn't sleep well. You know why? You got a lot of things on your mind, don't you? Okay? Thank you, Jack. I appreciate that. We got any more, Zander? Let's throw them up there. If you're a good dad, you don't sleep well. I know I don't. I know my aunt doesn't. Not soft, but NFL needs to take care of mental health. Kimberly, that's always a fine line, isn't it? Is it weakness? Is it illness? Kimberly, I'm not that smart to sit there and say that that's not an illness. You know, I agree with you. I agree. I think that's a tough call. Okay? Do you feel sad for mental illness? Of course you do. The hell kind of guy would I be? But do you feel sorry about, see, again, I'm different because my opportunity was lost and it gnaws at me. Okay? It gnaws at me. So when I see Antonio Brown, man, it's the ultimate failure. Holy cow. You had the nugget of everything in your hand. Tremendous talent. Tremendous resume. Accomplishments. Super Bowl rings. The admiration of others. And you decided to take a match, light it on fire, throw it in a trash can, and burn it to hell. There's a lot of me that says, F the guy. But there's also part of me where I was raised, hey, show a little compassion for the guy. Jason's right, man. That's a tough call. I look at Antonio Brown. You know, Biz, I used to think that was bullshit. But as I'm getting older, I'm starting to think it's not. I have a friend of mine named Billy Ray Smith. How many people ever heard that? Billy Ray Smith was drafted ahead of Jim Kelly and Dan Marino in that famous 83 draft. I used to work with him at the Mighty 1090 in San Diego and Los Angeles. You ever hear of Billy Ray Smith? Tremendous Hall of Fame college player at Arkansas. Was a pretty damn good football player, too, with the Chargers. He was a great football player. Do you know what has to happen to him today? A couple years back, after I had left 1090, I get a call from his wife, who's an anchor on the air at ABC San Diego. She goes, can you do me a favor? Can you help me look for Billy Ray? He's lost. And I'm like, so we went around San Diego looking for him. Me, Scott Kaplan, bunch of guys. Okay? And we went looking for him. His wife was crying. She's a head anchor at ABC. We couldn't say anything to anybody because we didn't want anybody to know. That was on the air with me. Advertisers would go away. So you know what we did? We gave him a GPS to put on his car ring because he can't travel out too far because his father died of CTE. His father played 17 years in the NFL. Okay? I mean, Billy Ray Smith was one of the sweetest guys of all time. I think he played 11 years. He was in that Chris Hinton draft. Great guy. But he can't walk out his front door without getting lost. So I've seen too many of my friends. Andre Waters put a gun in his mouth, kill himself. Or Dave Durson. Junior Seau told you a story. I'm on the air in Miami. Junior had taken me, and I had helped him when he got to the Dolphins, and I'd taken him around, introduced him to everybody in South Florida. He played for Dave Wanstead, everybody. Coaches, Miami. I took him over to meet, what's his name? Pat Riley. Did so much. Became great friends with Junior Seau. I get a call from Daryl Talley. There's a dear friend of mine who's struggling too. And called me and said, he's crying. Daryl Talley, one of the toughest men I've ever known. He's in tears. I'm on the air. I go, what's the matter? He goes, Junior Seau just shot himself. I'm like, I couldn't believe it. I go, what did he do? And he goes like this. He goes, he didn't even put the gun in his mouth. He aimed at his chest because he wanted his brain to be autopsied for CTE. He wouldn't leave his room for a week. You know how many people called him? Tim Brown, former wide receiver for the Chargers, said it. If he called, we all would have ran. We all would have ran to him. Junior Seau, hey, brother, used to play a ukulele. Every time you walk in and you see him, hey, brother, like he was a wrestler. Hey, brother. This is a sweetheart of a man. I mean, he sat in a room for about 10 days in the dark because his head hurt so much. I did not know him, Kyle. No. Okay. I mean, 10 days he sat in that. Oh, man, his mom. We show up at the funeral and his mom, and it was just a mess. That thing was just ugly. Oh, man. We sat there. We all, by the way, we all carried, his coffin in. We were like, yeah, no. These SC guys were there. CTA's not real fools making excuses for crazy sins who need Jesus. You sound like the owners there, Texas boy. CTE is not real. Well, then why in the world do you guys give us drugs when our heads hurt and give us Percocets and Percodans and give us fucked up helmets and then turn around and tell us and have equipment managers giving us Percocets and Percodans? When your head's hurting, they give you things to numb your brain. By the way, I'd sign up and do it again. I would do it again. Am I forgetting shit? Yes. Am I okay? Kind of. Would I do it again? Absolutely. Absolutely. My friends, if you are ever injured, please do me a favor. Make sure you check out my friends at Morgan & Morgan. Hey, speaking of that, we're going to have Merrill Reese on at the bottom of the hour here. With over $30 billion recovered. This is what Morgan & Morgan is. Thousands of attorneys from coast to coast defending you, making sure you and your family are well protected against insurance companies with fraudulent claims. That's what they do. No matter if you're in PA, Florida, California, Texas. They are there because, as my friend John Morgan always says, they are everywhere. If you're ever injured, this will be the easiest decision you ever make. Do me a favor, go forthepeople.com/big sales or pound law 529. That's forthepeople.com/big sales or pound law 529. And do me a favor, you tell them Big Sales sent you.
This is Eric. When he got injured in a car accident, he called Morgan & Morgan. He not only gets a lawyer, he gets trial lawyers like Sam and Jessica who are in it to win it. He gets his own investigators with briefcases, leather ones. And if you ever have questions, our customer service folks keep things rolling. Injured? We're your army. Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm.
Your financial future is on the line. Are you ready for what's next? At Leone & Company Wealth Management, we help young professionals, business owners, and pre-retirees navigate the complexities of building and protecting wealth. For young professionals, we'll help you grow your wealth, plan for your future, and make the most of your hard-earned dollars. For business owners, we provide strategies to protect your company, manage risks, and create a lasting legacy for both your business and personal wealth. For pre-retirees, we'll design a plan to secure your retirement, ensuring you can live comfortably and confidently in your next chapter. Whether you're just starting out, managing a thriving business, or preparing for retirement, we're here to help you take control of your financial future. The first consultation is on us. Get the advice you need without the cost. Let's make your financial vision a reality. Take the next step. Scan the QR code to schedule your free consultation today. And of course, go Birds.
Field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on three. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
In our hometown, we all look out for each other. We step up to keep our communities going strong. And at Independence Blue Cross, we're here to keep you going strong as the #1 health insurer in the region. No IBX is always looking out for you.
EAGLES, Eagles.
If you guys think that I got Merrill Reese on today to talk Eagles, you are out of your mind, because we're going to talk a little golf before we get to the Eagles. And I'm going to tell my friend, and I'm going to set this up before I bring Merrill Reese in here. I have played Oakmont. Now, I don't know if Merrill has played it, but I will tell you this. If you ever play Oakmont, I think the first championship that they ever hosted was 1904. And I'm going to tell you, you need a stepladder to get in some of these bunkers. I mean, these bunkers are as deep as you can ever. I don't know. I think Baltusrol maybe has deeper bunkers. Now, Merrill has, he's in the champions locker room up there with the guys in Marion. So, I mean, he's in the Champions Club. He's got it. He's right next to Lee Trevino and Gary Payton, all them guys, Jerry Pate. So I got to make sure we get this, but I want to know how many people believe that Merrill Reese, before you bring him in, has played Oakmont. Let's bring our friend, the legendary voice. Then we'll get to some Eagles. Merrill Reese joins us now. How you doing, my friend?
Good. I'm doing well, but if I had played Oakmont, I wouldn't be with you today because I would never be found. I never gotten out of one of those bunkers. They would have had to come find me. But and it's tough. How about the church pew bunkers? It's unbelievable. But Dan, I have to tell you, as high as the scores are right now, just keep one thing in mind. In 2013, when they played the U.S. Open at Marion, the winning score was 1 over par by Justin Rose.
Wow. And it goes to those roughs, doesn't it, Merrill? I mean, from what I'm understanding now, Phil Mickelson was complaining and everybody else is complaining about the roughs. And I've seen what I liked to do when I was younger. I played Winged Foot right after they played a U.S. Open there, and you play that rough. And I don't know if you've ever done that too at Marion when they hosted. If I'm not mistaken, I think this is the 10th time that Oakmont has hosted a USGA championship there. So, I mean, maybe the 10th time they've hosted the U.S. Open, I should say. But, I mean, have you ever played Marion when after a U.S. Open with that rough? Because, man, that stuff, I've played it. I don't know how those guys get out of that.
I have enough trouble playing Marion when they don't have the US Open.
Man.
It's a challenge. Of course, we have the East and the West course, and the West course is a beautiful course too.
Let me ask you something about those old school courses. You know, Oakmont, from what I remember Lee Trevino saying, Gary Player told me one time on my show, he said those old courses like Marion, Cherry Hill, Oakmont, Baltusrol, fast greens, second shot courses, they're not really set up for like big bombers. Now, they may have done some adjusting to some of these courses. I don't know what they've done to Marion, but I know that a lot of these are second shot courses, and you have to be a thinker's guy to get around that course. I mean, is that what you're talking about when you're talking how difficult these courses are?
The fact of the matter is, I mean, you have to be a shot maker to play Marion's Great East course. You've got to be a good putter. You've got to be great around the green. But the fact of the matter is, when you're talking about these courses that are set up at 7,800 yards, it doesn't bother these guys because the real skill of this game is the shot making and the ability to scramble and to hit the great chips and approaches to the green. Because everybody on the tour today can hit it well over 300 yards.
Absolutely. Let's get to some Eagle stuff. I mean, boy, Merrill, every time you play in the Super Bowl, I mean, now we're talking, it's a different era now.
Dan, can I tell you something? Just since we talked about golf, the Eagles raised a lot of money this Monday if they had their annual autism challenge, which was one of the greatest charity events, and they had so many wonderful players and coaches who were out playing in it. But I met one of the greatest superstars that I've ever met in my life and was able to have a conversation with him. And I can tell you that I've never met a nicer person than Ernie Els.
Wow. Ernie Els lives in Orlando. And I know a couple people. He lives at a golf course right next to Lou Holtz. And he lives there. And I've heard so many great things. What was the thing that you took away from meeting Ernie Els? I heard nothing but fabulous things about that guy.
His warmth, really, his warmth, the friendliness that he exhibited, the way he communicates with you. He was happy to be there. I mean, poor Ernie stood on the 9th tee the whole day, hitting a tee shot that you can use if you wanted to on that long par 3. You could take his shot. And that's not an easy thing to do. I mean, I've had to do that on a couple of charity occasions, and I hate to do that. It drives you nuts after a while. But he did it, and he was great. And I had met him. Earlier at breakfast, and then by the time I came to the 9th tee, he goes, "Merrill, I've been waiting for you to come." You know,
oh my God, that's great.
Stood right behind me when I hit my tee shot. Now, you know, a couple of years ago, Brandon Matthews, one of the young golfers, was there, and I had talked to him at the dinner the night before. And when I got to the 9th tee, I wanted to show him that I can play this game a little, and I really wanted to show him. And I hit my shot, and I topped it. That went about 4 feet. And I felt like an idiot. But he looked at it and he said, "At least it's straight." But
yeah,
here I am on the 9th tee. And Ernie Els, Hall of Fame, Ernie Els, winner of 2 U.S. Opens, 2 British Opens, 2 second-place finishes at the Masters. Ernie Els is watching me hit my tee shot. But you know what? I probably hit the best shot of my entire life. And he said, "Merrill, you've got a fine swing." But he was so nice. Oh, just everybody there loved him.
I got to say this to you. The owner donating $50 million, Jeffrey Lurie, to autism, to CHOP, and to the Children's Hospital there in Philadelphia. I mean, you know, look, you've known Toes, you've known Norman Brayman. You've known all kinds of owners between the Phillies and the Flyers and Ed Schneider, God rest his soul, and all that. I mean, just tell me what impact Jeffrey Lurie has had on the Philadelphia. I mean, I know he's from the New England area, if I'm not mistaken, but really, I mean, he's just really made such an impact, hasn't he, in the Philadelphia area?
Yeah, he really has. He's nobody has been more philanthropic. He's been wonderful. Each owner has had the charities that the team gets involved with, and they've all been very, very charitable. But I can tell you that Jeffrey is a wonderful man and has done a lot of great things. And I remember a coach, an assistant coach, who was heading out of here, and he said, I want to tell you something. I hope if I ever get a head coaching job, I hope it's for an owner like Jeffrey Lurie, because whatever that head coach wants, Jeffrey Lurie's answer is always yes. He supports his head coach. He supports the coaching staff, all the people in the organization. He does not micromanage. He's involved, but he's never going to be a guy who tells the coach what play to call.
You know what, though? When people say, you got an owner that's a meddling owner, you got an owner that's involved. I'm sorry, Merrill, but if I had a $7 billion business, I'm not just going to sit on my yacht and not do anything about it. I want to be involved in that because it's an investment that I want to see, because everybody knows there's certain football teams in our country that are not community prideful things or not civic pride. The Eagles are different. I mean, Panthers versus the Eagles. No disrespect to Carolina Panthers, but that team means more to people like Buffalo, the Bills. That means a lot to those guys. I mean, that's not something I wouldn't want my owner not being involved in.
Yeah, but see, Dan, here's where, and I think you'll turn around and agree with me. There's a difference when you are involved and you are hiring the best people you can, and they report ultimately to you. And you listen to the personnel department, and you watch the games, but you don't go down on the field at the end of the game. Your presence, you should not be on the sideline.
Now, is that a shot at Jerry Jones? Is that what, did I just hear a shot at Jerry and the Cowboys?
I'm not using names. I'm just saying I believe an owner belongs on the sideline. I remember doing games. At Lincoln Financial, at Veterans Stadium, before Lincoln Financial Field, where the Eagles were playing a particular NFL team. And the booth next to us on the other side of the glass was the assistant coach's booth for the visiting team. And an owner went into that booth and put on the headset and started speaking directly to the coach about the plays he was calling in the middle of a game. You don't want that involvement. That's not the involvement you should have as an owner is to hire the best people, let them do their jobs, and if they're not doing their jobs, get better people. But the owner, is not, well, you're a little bit different because you have college and pro football experience. But even if you were an owner, I would think you would know
I would
stop
right.
and delegate.
Absolutely. I learned that from Jimmy Johnson. You're only as powerful as the ones around you. You're only going to be as good as a coach, the people you have around you. The only other time, Merrill, I've ever seen that, I'll give you something. My wife and I were we saw that. So we were at the Oakland Coliseum. I was in the broadcast booth. And sure enough, man, I'm sitting there. I'm getting ready to do because I was on the broadcasting for the Raiders. Here comes Al. He puts that headset on. He starts going down there to Tom Flores.
Yeah.
He was Tom Flores. It was Art Shell or one of those guys. He starts talking down there to these guys, and I'm going like, hey, man, I wouldn't want that, my owner getting on a headset. So anyway, hey, by the way, I want you to do me a favor the next time you see Saquon Barkley. I want you to tell him he's full of BS, and I'm going to tell you why. If you think golf soothes your soul, and if you think golf takes your mind off things, I mean, I heard him go, I'm addicted to golf. I need it. It gets me away from the game. I'm like, I have never in my life swore more at a sporting event than when I play golf. And so he's trying to sell me that that's how he gets relaxation. Merrill, how many rounds have you ever walked off the round and you go, I feel pretty satisfied today about my round of golf? How many times? 5? Come on, Saquon.
You know what?
Golf is not relaxing.
Well, it depends. It depends on what you're doing. I mean, some of the athletes, they need some money to play that game. They do some heavy wagering because they need that to stoke their competitive fires. I play golf for the fun of it. I'll wake up on a Sunday morning and I'll say to Cindy, my wife, let's go play 9 holes together. And we'll go out there and the two of us will play 9 holes together. And it's the most relaxing 9 holes. And I'm not particularly concerned of whether I had a bogey or a birdie. We're just out there and it's so beautiful. And I enjoy every good shot and don't take the other shots seriously. Or I have a foursome. We play together every week, every Wednesday or Thursday. And we have a great time. And none of that bothers me. We play the 9 and dines. We do all of that stuff. My wife and I played in a tournament last week called Burgers with a Twist, where we played 9 holes with other couples and came back and had burgers and a regular barbecue.
Oh, I love that.
I'm more of a pleasure golfer. I'm not playing for the club championship. And I'm not going to scare anybody with my 14 handicap. I just love the game. I love it. I love it. I love it. I didn't start playing until I was 50. I grew up as a tennis player and played a lot of tournaments. And there I was very, very competitive and worked hard for every single point. I mean, I wasn't Carlos Alcaraz, but I hustled and I dug in and I won a lot of matches. But as far as golf is concerned, I'm concerned when I can't get out of a bunker in 3 shots. There are a lot of things in golf that can drive you nuts. But overall, I just love the sport, and I do get a lot of relaxation out of it.
Oh, yeah. So wait a minute. You and Mike Quick, no Nassau's. No. Are you trying to tell me no Nassau's ever between you and Quick?
Mike and I play quite a bit, and I play in his tournament that he has for First Tee of Greater Philadelphia, and then he comes out and he plays. Mike is a member of Pine Valley.
Oh, wow.
Yes. So, Doug Peterson used to go by and say, Marion and Pine Valley, I'm in good shape. But Mike is just a great guy. Mike and I will play more for fun than anything else.
A couple of Eagle questions here for you, Merrill. How do you think the offseason's gone so far? I mean, so much lost, and yet, there's nobody, in my opinion, that has surpassed the Eagles talent-wise. I mean, there were decisions that were made this offseason that were going to benefit 26, 27, and 28, obviously. But still, with the focus on this year, and there were a lot of exits, a lot of new names coming in. How do you feel about it so far? And just what you've seen with the way that the team has acted and what the team is doing going forward.
I have a lot of people who come up to me. I've done a lot of speaking engagements. Today I just spoke at the Philadelphia Sports Medicine Congress down at Jefferson Hospital. And I have a lot of people who want to know how I feel the Eagles are going to do this year. And that's a natural question. And when the schedule comes out, the first thing a lot of fans do is they put it down and put down a W here and an L here and a W here. And they do it on all the talk shows. You know that.
Oh, absolutely.
Papers take up 2 pages to have each of their 5 football writers say what the Eagles will do from week to week to week to week to week. I don't have a clue. And I'm being honest with you because it's not who you're playing. It's when you're playing them. I mean, what if the Eagles are playing Washington late in the season and Jaden Daniels is hurt? It's a different game. What if the Eagles are playing Washington late in the season and Lane Johnson is out? See, I have a theory that, number one, I agree with you. The Eagles, when they start the season against the Dallas Cowboys on Thursday, September the 4th, the Eagles will have the best roster in the National Football League. they will have the most complete team in the National Football League on September the 4th. But if any team, if you're a 14-3 team as they were last year, and you lose the wrong 3 people for long stretches at the wrong time of the season, you could become an 8-9 or 9-8 team.
Absolutely.
That's everybody. So we don't really know. The Eagles do a lot of intelligent things. I came around. Love Nick Sirianni, but I was not a proponent of a training camp that it pretty much consisted of shorter practices.
Me too.
The ground, no regulars in the preseason. You know, when I do a preseason game with Mike, I've got to put about 4 or 5 different topics in my notebook that I can talk to him about to keep some interest in the broadcast.
Yeah.
Most of the players are only known to their mothers. So I've got to do that. But I think they've got to be better going into the season. So they go into September and they played a decent game and beat the Packers in Brazil, and then came back and they lost the game where Saquon dropped a pass at the end against Atlanta. Then they go to New Orleans, who had scored a lot of points, but they turned out not to be very good, and the Eagles got by them. Then the Eagles played Tampa Bay, and they were so bad that the Bucs looked like they were operating against air.
Yeah.
I mean, the Bucs did anything. Of course, Devontae Smith was hurt that game. A.J. Brown was out.
Lane.
So my son Nolan was in from California, and he said to me when I got off the air, Dad, he said, I've got to tell you, this team, this Eagles team is not going to win more than 7 games.
No.
I said, Nolan, just watch. And they came after the bye, and boom, each week they got better and better. They only lost 1 more game at Washington when Jalen Hurts.
And obviously, if you count that, if Jalen played a whole game, they were undefeated all the way through the Super Bowl.
Yeah, absolutely. So you don't know. But here's the thing. I said you got to do it the way. I love what Dan Campbell's doing in Detroit. He has them hitting from day one. He has regulars playing during the preseason. So what happened? The Eagles go into the playoffs with 22 healthy starters. And Detroit played that division game with Washington, if I'm not mistaken, with 18 players on injured reserve and got knocked out. So I think Nick is right. I think Howie Roseman is right. And I think we ought to realize that except in rare instances where a coach treats it differently, those 4 September games are what the preseason games used to be.
Merrill, I'm gonna follow your lead on this from now on. So in your opinion, when you're putting a roster together, it's about the sequencing of players, which means, like you said, last year they had the perfect combination of players at the right positions with the right depth, the right roster, with the right health.
Mm-hmm.
That is what won that team that Super Bowl, with them getting better and better and better. And the version of the Eagles in September versus the Eagles in November. There's going to be all different teams. Every month for 6 months, there's going to be a different Eagle team in your eyes. Is that how you look at a particular season?
You're right. And I'm going to tell you the 2 biggest names that had to do with the Eagles doing what they did last year. Now, take nothing away from Jalen Hurts, because I love him. I think he's a great quarterback. And I think that one day we'll look back and say he was the greatest Eagles quarterback ever. And I think he's right there with the best quarterbacks in football right now. Don't forget, he's outplayed Patrick Mahomes 3 straight games. But all right, but the 2 biggest names for this team last year were Vic Fangio and Saquon Barkley. Those were the biggest difference makers from the year before. Oh, and one other thing, and I say this to Eagles fans now. Last June the 13th, if I said the name to you, Zach Bourne, would you have had any idea who he was?
You might as well have said Azeez Ojulari to me.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what Eagle fans who I talk to all the time, that's what they say back to me. Sills, didn't you say Zach Baum was a nobody last year? I said, yeah, because he was a nobody in New Orleans. I had no idea that Oren Burks would have that backup role. I mean, where Jacoby goes down. I mean, he had no drop-off in the playoffs when he got in there. There were so many things that you were talking about here, Merrill, that went right. Isaiah Rodgers, who had missed an entire year.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, when Slay goes out, they put him in there. And no question, couple last ones here for you. Merrill, are you concerned about the 420 touches? I'll give you a number. Since Penn State, 2,130 carries. And Saquon Barkley's 9-year, 3-year starting at Penn State and his 6 years in the NFL. Are you concerned about that number going into this year with the volume of carries that he's had?
No, I'm really not. I don't even think about that. I mean, you hope that he stays healthy. If you want to talk about odds on that,
no.
Running back, you never know. But I know that Saquon Barkley is at the peak of his career right now. He's in great shape. So going into the season, those other figures don't mean anything. He's not a tire losing tread. He's in good shape. But if teams want to try to stop him the way the Chiefs did in the Super Bowl and say, we're going to stop Saquon Barkley and make Jalen Hurts beat us with his arm, Jalen Hurts will beat you with his arm. This team can beat you in a lot of different ways. They want to come take care of the wide receivers and double team and put the blitzes on Jalen. Okay, then Saquon will run wild. The Eagles have a lot of different ways they can beat you. They're not a team that just has one weapon. They've got great wide receivers. Not good, great wide receivers. I'm happy to say that Dallas Goedert, one of the best tight ends in football. I don't know how you rate him.
I do. He's in the top 10 for sure, top 7.
You know, he's back. Their kicking game, their punting game, and they've got a great offensive line, and they have, this is my 49th season, the best offensive line I have been around, the best offensive line coach I've ever been around in Jets.
I was just going to go there with you with that. I mean, Phil Simms was on my program, and Phil Simms said that it's better than the Cowboy O-line that had Emmett. And I said, then he asked me because I played against that line. I was on the team for that line. I practiced against it. And I said, yeah, I think this is the greatest offensive line in my lifetime during the Super Bowl era, Merrill. I don't think I've ever seen maybe the Steeler line back in the day. Remember when they won 4 and 6? That was a good one. The Cowboy one was exceptional, but this is the best offensive line I've ever seen. And isn't it a far cry? One of the things under Jeffrey Lurie, when he bought the team from Norman Brayman, one of the things that was always anti-Eagle, you had good O-linemen, but you never really had, like the whole Jim Lachey nightmare. Lachey told me everybody, Keith Byers had that thing all signed, sealed, and delivered. He was supposed to be an Eagle. The thing blew up. He went to Washington instead. And ever since he owned the team, that has been a priority with that owner. We are going to have Howard Mudd, and we are going to have Jeff Stoutland and the best O-line, and it's benefited in the best era of football.
Yeah, really. And then they let Jason Kelsey help them scout and look for his replacement. And look what they did there with Cameron Jurgens.
Dude, now that Ragnow's retired, I mean, you can make the argument he's probably one of the top 3, if not top 2 centers in pro football right now. So, Merrill, who you got this weekend at the Open? I'm still going to hang with my boy Scotty. I think he's going to come back from nowhere. He's way down. I know. But that guy's like a superhero, dude. I don't know, man. I don't. Or do you think it's going to be a nobody that's going to end up winning this? Because a lot of times, first-year winners win it.
Well, yeah, Spawn has played very, very well.
Yeah, yes.
Rory had to be in the extra rounds. The sudden that the playoff. to win the Players Championship this year. He's good. There's a lot of great people out there. It's tough to win this Open. But my favorite golfer is Rory. And when I last left the television before you pulled me away, I think he was 8 over, and I think the cut is probably going to be 7 or 8. Wow. But if Rory can get back into it,
yeah,
I mean he can whack it out of that rough as well as anybody, and we'll see. This one will, but somebody could sneak by and win it. Sometimes
I think you're going to see +2 win it.
+2.
+2. That's a tough golf course. I mean, you need binoculars and a shovel and a step ladder at Oakmont if you're going to play, because the bunkers are deep, the rough is tough, and you don't have in-view second shots. So it's a tough golf course to play.
5 will win it. How's that?
Oh, wow. How's that for you? Merrill, have a great weekend. Happy Father's Day to you, my friend.
Thank you, Dan. You have a great weekend, too.
You bet. Merrill Reese, the legend himself, joining us here. We really appreciate it. By the way, guys, don't forget our great friends at Morgan & Morgan with over $30 billion recovered, thousands of attorneys from coast to coast. Make sure they do the very best job for you and your family. Listen, the number one reason that Morgan & Morgan is number one is why? Because they win. If you're ever injured, check out my friends at Morgan & Morgan at forthepeople.com/big sales or pound law 529. That's FOR, thepeople.com/big sales or pound law 529. And do me a favor, you tell them Big Sales sent you.
This is Eric. When he got injured in a car accident, he called Morgan & Morgan. He not only gets a lawyer, he gets trial lawyers like Sam and Jessica who are in it to win it. He gets his own investigators with briefcases, leather ones. And if you ever have questions, our customer service folks keep things rolling. Injured? We're your army. Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm.
Your financial future is on the line. Are you ready for what's next? At Leone & Company Wealth Management, we help young professionals, business owners, and pre-retirees navigate the complexities of building and protecting wealth. For young professionals, we'll help you grow your wealth, plan for your future, and make the most of your hard-earned dollars. For business owners, we provide strategies to protect your company, manage risks, and create a lasting legacy for both your business and personal wealth. For pre-retirees, we'll design a plan to secure your retirement, ensuring you can live comfortably and confidently in your next chapter. Whether you're just starting out, managing a thriving business, or preparing for retirement, we're here to help you take control of your financial future. The first consultation is on us. Get the advice you need without the cost. Let's make your financial vision a reality. Take the next step. Scan the QR code to schedule your free consultation today. And of course, go Birds.
Field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
In our hometown, we all look out for each other. We step up to keep our communities going strong. And at Independence Blue Cross, we're here to keep you going strong as the #1 health insurer in the region. No IBX is always looking out for you.
EAGLES, Eagles.
I don't know, man. Between the voice and yesterday with crackhead or StreamYards, whatever you call it. I don't know. Let's see what Twiz. Hey, Twiz, you have a happy Father's Day. All the fathers out there, happy fathers. And Sills, I expect the card soon. What kind of card do you want? A football signed card? Is that what you want? I got a couple of them. What do you want, a couple signed football cards? I think I got a few of them. Me sending them out will be the issue. I got crap that's packed around the corner with people wanting me to send shit out. Hey, can you sign this? I find that stuff a little, yeah, but, you know, people spend the time to do it. Merrill Reese was great, was he not? I mean, okay. Maybe I should make a couple more copies. I'll show you some of the cards I have. I've got a couple World Football League cards. I have oh my God, I got a USFL card. I got an NFL card, my rookie card with the Bucks that Topps made for me. Okay. Well, your mom likes it. Sorry, man. I had to end. I had to end a week on that. Hey guys, do me a favor. Make sure you guys have a fabulous, fabulous Father's Day weekend. I hope everybody gets a chance to spend time with their family. Hey, guess what? You know, if things are looking down, always remember you got your family around you. It's all good. Okay? Be in good spirits on Monday. We'll be 5 weeks out from the start of training camp. Dude, you know, people go like this, downtime, 5 weeks. You got 5 weeks until the start of football. Man, crazy stuff. Have a great weekend. Joe, thank you. Zander, thank you. 2 to 6 on Monday. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. God bless you guys. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you on the flip side.